Hail, hail, and welcome to the HomeBhoys Late Podcast. It is Wednesday, the 30th of July. I'm, of course, Joe McKenna. We are back. We have not been on since July the 10th. There's been a number of preseason friendlies in between that, and holidays, and things going on, and transfers, and bitching and moaning, and that is what we're here for. We are joined by a man who goes by the name of I Love Pussy, Marty Flynn.
What's happening?
So, do you want to elaborate on your moniker?
Well, we've just been linked with a guy called Pussy from Man City. So,
it's one of them. It's transferring.
Surely everybody loves pussy.
Well, it's transferring the balance, Marty. Last thing I'm gonna do is rub this guy the wrong way. You know what I mean? And joined by a man who's just back from his holidays, same as my good self. And he had the fortune of seeing Celtic play when he was on his holidays. Longshanks, what's happening, Liam?
I'm very well, mate. I'm very well. How are you?
Are you back to work? Are you in that come down phase? Like I did.
Honestly, I was in tears all day Monday, more or less, man. I was ready to quit and retire for 2 weeks. But
you know what I did Monday? I walked around the office going, "What can I get rid of and clean?"
Well, yeah. So I had all these plans to have a nice quiet day Sunday and prepare for it, and then end up going out and watching the All Ireland final and having a half an all day, thinking I'll take it on head first, and it didn't really work out very well.
It never does, though. There's no soft landing for coming back from holidays during work, isn't there? There's no soft landing. You've just got to kind of rate it out, and then by Wednesday, Thursday, you're like, right, well, I'm kind of back in the groove.
Yeah, 10 years ago I could drink myself through it, but no longer.
Well, I'm lucky. I don't know about you. I got a bank holiday coming up this weekend. So have you got that?
No. It's only a free staple.
What's that for, Joe?
I don't know. Free states. We've got 11 bank holidays, one a month, barred fucking July.
Because the fucking one that was supposed to be in July, everybody was saying give it to the 12th after COVID when they were saying, we're going to give you another bank holiday. We're going, great, give it for the 12th, so we'll make our Protestant neighbours feel welcome and everybody can have a day off in the sunshine.
We ended up getting some budgets today at that point.
We'll put it in February. Thanks, lads.
See, the whole point, I was like, going, give us a bank holiday in July when it's sunny, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean?
Oh, wagger.
Did the kids in the north get like 8 weeks in the summer as well, Marty? The same as the south?
Yeah. Yep.
Our kids. What do the kids in Scotland get?
6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah, maybe seven. I thought it was 3 months over in Ireland. They got off in the summer.
Our kids get off in the last week in June. They're not back till the end of August.
Well, that's pretty much the same here. Sometimes it bleeds into the start of September, though. But it's not much later in England where the kids stop.
2 weeks after Scotland.
Kids in England get
Scotland or England get the same amount of holidays, but Scottish kids 2 weeks before them, and then they go 2 weeks after us.
But you not get extra time off. Your summer's not shorter, and you get extra time off at Halloween. Because my cousin's a teacher in England. He always goes back at Halloween. He gets extra time.
They get
half term in October, but it's middle of October normally. It's not the end.
That's what I mean. October, that time of year. He's always home that time of year because he says they get shorter summer holidays, but they get another decent wee break in October.
In Ireland, they definitely get more holidays because we were working it out when we were on holiday with my mates for Lurgan, and they worked it out. And the kids in Ireland definitely get more holidays than the kids here.
100%. There you go, folks. So there's the parental public announcement.
I'll get the dog house out the road. Fucking took him a walk over the park. Had to let him off since he went missing up that nature reserve, right? So he's been fucking jumping about like a maniac. So he's right, the park's empty. I let him off. Fucking straight for this bit where these 3 rabbits hanging about. Fucking lost him. He's in folks' back gardens and all that. Then he does a B1 for the sports centre. And I'm like, for fuck's sake. I grabbed him and dragged him round the road and he's fucking moping about.
They're crazy tough.
And as well, like, I mean, if anybody hasn't met the tough, I mean, that's like wrangling cattle.
So listen, see before we start, can I read it? Mind that wee message I says I was
Aye, go for it.
So before we start, I got a message for some of the like ultra groups, and there's a
Sorry, Jason, hold on. Just before you fucking go any further, have you got links to put out here? Because people will want to hear this shit.
Aye, so I've retweeted
No, not you, Joe. You were supposed to send me a
Aye,
link to put out on the boys.
I've sent out the act. I'm going to send you the YouTube link now, right?
I sent it on the fucking on the WhatsApp so I can put it out.
I send the YouTube link now, right?
Right.
And we'll retweet this as well. I'll get the HomeBhoys to retweet this so they can get a read it. But give me a wee second, I'll read it out. So there's a group being formed by various supporters groups through Scottish football teams called the Scottish Supporters Collective. And it says, here's the full text of the letter hand delivered to Scottish football authorities at Hampden today by representatives of clubs across Scotland. Our united message is clear: in the country with the highest per capita football attendance in Europe, respect the fans. So basically, I'll just read it out. So Scottish football is nothing without supporters. The passion, colour, unwavering loyalty of fans which sets our game apart. Yet in recent months, a moral panic has taken hold. The mainstream media and authorities have unfairly demonised active supporters groups and other passionate supporters while ignoring the value we bring to stadiums and match day. We've watched in recent months as others have discussed supporters issues, whilst we have collectively been locked out of any consultation, as those with little or to no understanding of supporters culture debate out of touch ideas on how to improve fan experience. We suggest, rather than continuing with the failed approach of excluding fans from discussions and demonising a culture that many in power do not understand, a more mature approach involves everyone engaging with supporters to improve our game. And it goes on to say, representatives from active supporters groups across Scotland have met and subsequently agreed to set up the Scottish Supporters Collective to act as a wider voice for all supporters. Scottish Supporters Collective have discussed how we would improve the fan experience for Scottish football fans for the season ahead, and we collectively propose 5 key changes to enhance the matchday experience, ensure fairness, and rebuild trust between fans and authorities. So number 1, ticket prices should be set and frozen at the beginning of each season to prevent supporters being overcharged. In addition, a flat percentage of away ticket allocations for all fixtures should be introduced. Number 2, commitment from all clubs to participate in meaningful and regular supporter sport engagement with their own club supporters and the wider Scottish Supporter Collective. Number 3, allowance of use of atmosphere-enhanced material should guarantee access to at all grounds, including for away supporters. These items should include drums, banners, megaphones, and telescopic poles, all of which help provide a positive and supportive atmosphere. Number 4, a pledge for clubs to increase investment for disabled supporters' facilities, as far too many grounds remain inaccessible with inadequate viewing areas and limited services. And 5, finally, pyrotechnic disposal bins, Marty, you've mentioned this before, to be installed at all stadiums. Rather than demonising pyro use, pragmatic measures can mitigate risk while acknowledging its role in fan culture. These bins are a proven solution, providing a safe environment, reducing hazards and eradicating heavy-handed policing practices. So that's basically it. So I don't really think there's anything crazily wild in that. It seems all kind of mature.
I mean, there's nothing insane. I mean,
no, there's nothing there that you can really disagree with unless you're a head in the sand kind of supporter, which loads of people are, that don't recognise that this is part of football fan culture in this day and age. And Scotland has got a great, and as the guy said at the start, it's the highest attended country for football per capita in Europe. You know, it's like unbelievable. The amount of fans that go and watch football in Scotland, in a nation of 5 million people, is unbelievable. And we get absolutely demonised, while other sports, carte blanche, get treated like the lords and ladies that they are, and we just get treated like a piece of shit in their shoe. And we're all at a mature age that kind of culture isn't what we're all about, but it's definitely got its place. in the stadium, and it brings great atmosphere. And at the end of the day, these kids are getting absolutely demonised for just wanting to support their team in a fashion that some people maybe don't like. But it's here and it's here to stay, and why don't you embrace it? So.
Listen, you'll hear no argument from me, Jason. Right? I mean, the only thing I can really do in these kind of situations is try to play devil's advocate and say, like, here are the reasons why I think these things might get dismissed. But we all know the fucking reasons. I mean, you can. I don't know. Like, I'm sure you've all worked in similar fucking industries. Like, you can bend and mold health and safety regulations to fit any fucking angle you want. I mean, so anything they've said in there could easily just be fucking policied in a fucking health and safety agreement. Well, we can't because it's in there. You're going like, and that completely negates any sort of actual conversation about the value of what it gives and what it brings, and at its core, a cultural discussion about what football is for specifically for young people. I mean, because what we're trying to do here in this and spreading this message is like, we know what it was like to go to football and fucking, not be out of control, but be boisterous, be fucking rambunctious, and be out there, fucking love it, and immerse yourself in that kind of cultural identity of being fucking a Celtic fan, or being a football fan, or a Motherwell fan, or Rangers fan, or Hearts fan, whatever the fuck it may be, right? We all know what that's been like, and it's not like something you maybe give your life to, but it's something you embrace whenever you're part of it. And to try and remove that and make football in Scotland something, I suppose, sterile and kind of on a par with the likes of rugby, where it's like, essentially, what you've got there is a ticket buying crowd. You don't really have a passionate crowd. You have a ticket buying crowd. Football doesn't have ticket buying crowds. Football has passionate supporters. There's a cultural difference.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of people go to rugby for a day out.
Aye.
But you go to football for a day, but you've got a vested interest, and it takes a large part of everybody's life. It's all consuming. It's a country that's football daft, and there's very few and far between you meet people in Scotland that don't like football in our kind of circle. It's just not the done thing. Everybody's fit by daft, and it's just
the paradox. Though, I think is that see if like obviously like I think the overall wish for like the powers that be is that like, well, if football was as sort of sterile and as plain as like rugby in terms of crowd control and crowd engagement, then it would be okay. But if that was the case, football wouldn't be popular.
No.
I mean,
that's the attraction. That's exactly. That's why people are attracted to it. It's the tribalism. It's just everything it's all about. And so at the end of the day, and some great points as well with the tickets, etc. Because we're getting shafted left, right, and centre. Point in case at the end of last season, Dundee United, the ticket prices they're charging. You're talking about the Glasgow Derby this season will be £60 for away fans. There's nothing surer, and it's just creeping up, and it's just the norm now. You'll be going to away games, you'll be paying £50 will be the norm, and it's just unachievable for families to be able to attend games, and obviously following Celtic, the scramble for tickets for away games is just ridiculous, and I get. Like Falkirk, for instance, it's going to be a few hundred tickets, but they've sold out their stadium to season tickets. So I get that, right? That's no an issue. But it's other stadiums you're going to where the stadium's half empty and they're cramming you in a corner and they're only giving you about 1,000 tickets. It's out of order. Something should be done. It should be, in Hearts' case in point, that away stand, they've got us down to 500 odd tickets now. And the other side of that stand is sitting fucking empty. If they're all selling their stadium out and you only get 500 tickets because the rest of the stadium is heaving with home support, fine. But Motherwell, case in point, I'm sure the powers that be that run Motherwell would rather have half the ground as Celtic and Rangers supporters, but the Rain fans won't put up with it. But it's just having... The Rain fans are actually damaging their own club because the amount of money that they're hemorrhaging every week. And it's just insane.
It's pride above profit.
Kilmarnock, they built fucking offices in that stand and they put a standing section in, you get 3 men in their dug. It's no work for them. So why don't they just get their fans round the table and say, right, there's going to be 4 games a season if we qualify for the top 6 that you'll have the 2 Glasgow teams coming. Let's maximise the money. you know, but they just, I don't know, it's mental. It's the bowling club mentality, but anyway.
It's a bit.
Here's
Go
the
on,
thing
Marty.
too. There are home fans in all those grounds who won't go and watch us play. And I know this for a fucking fact because some of them used to give me their tickets.
Aye.
Because in the home, I used to sit in the home end all the time in Scotland because people I knew saying, I'm not going to fucking watch usings here. Here's my 2 tickets. Do you know what I mean? So it's mental. Like the whole thing's fucking completely nuts. As for the statement, I mean, it'll be just put in the bin. And the bottom line is the only way. First of all, I just need to congratulate everybody involved for actually getting together because it's about fucking time. Do you know what I mean? So it's a really, really good thing. Scott's been talking about this for years about people he knows who have been trying to, the 20s plenty campaign and things like that. Have really tried their best to outreach. So this seems to be the first time where it's actually been kind of embraced. So that's my first thing. Absolutely brilliant. Well done, everybody involved. The second thing is there's nothing on that fucking list that anybody should be arguing with because it's all fairly simple. The gouging of fans halfway through a season or because there's a certain match happening or because it's going to be a league winner or something is beyond reprehensible. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just blatantly ripping people off.
Yeah.
Now I understand the arguments. The arguments are, oh, we have to put on extra security for you and all that and all. But do you like how the what you were making off us would have more than covered that, more than covered it. Do you know? So it's again, that doesn't to me that doesn't fly. The pyrotechnic stuff I have been arguing for absolutely fucking years. It's part of the game, so it needs to be controlled and it needs to be regulated. As I say, we already have instances and issues with fans in the ground with pyrotechnics. We'll probably talk about John Fallon at some point in the proceedings. And John was affected by the pyrotechnics. He was hospitalised because of pyrotechnics in our own crowd. And that's just not acceptable for people who are disabled or people like myself who have respiratory problems. Not that I would complain about something like that, but it is an issue for loads of people. Something needs to be done about it, and that's a perfect way of doing it. Is to have fire things, fire buckets and sand and stuff like that, which is exactly what they're asking for. That sort of stuff again is easily done, particularly at home. Do you know what I mean? Particularly in the home end. The away end is a different issue, and I actually think we should be talking internally among our fans about some of the behaviour that goes on in away games, like putting people out of their seats and that sort of stuff. It's a bit mad. So you can't go with a good idea and ruin it by bad activity. So I think everybody should be focusing on home grounds to say this is the area it's going to happen in. Here's all the fucking mitigations that we put on against anybody getting hurt or anybody getting harmed, home or away.
Nope.
I get Marty's, but you were going to say something. You on you go, Marty's.
Yeah,
Sorry,
No, sorry, you're back.
Somebody tried to phone me. So look, that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is all these things can be mitigated against. It's not a problem. The real problem is that the powers of beer is going to go, thanks for your statement, they're going to fuck it in the bin. So what happens next? And what should happen next is collective action.
Aye,
Collective
unity is
action.
strength.
We should say, we're not going to go into your grounds. We're going to stand outside your grounds and block your fucking turnstiles. And you're going to, and we're going to make sure that if you're going to gouge us on tickets, we're going to fucking make sure that we cost you money so that you won't fucking do it again because it's literally the only thing they care about. Like ratting and racking the place and all that, that doesn't work because it just confirms, oh, well, they're all fucking scumbags. That's why we treat them the way we do. But if you take really good direct action in a coordinated way that harms nobody except the people who are just simply turning their face against progress. Like Jason, you told us last week that a club in Scotland has plans to convert part of their ground to accommodate away fans.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, what a fucking brilliant idea. And like I was on holiday a few weeks ago in Mexico and I was talking to some people. One of the guys was from Dundee and he's a Dundee fan. he actually lives in America, but he says, look, I'm from Dundee and whatever else. I'm chatting away, and I says, I says, sure, I've been in the city a couple of times. I says, I've been to Tannadice. I says, and when I was in Tannadice, our fans were accommodated by the Dundee FC's supporters club. We were in their bar drinking. He says, no problem at all. He says, they opened up early in the morning for us. Everybody got in, had a great time, went to the game, went home. So if there's good examples of that now starting to emerge in Scotland, where you're saying, well, that happened in such and such a place, and fuck all went wrong. Do you know what I mean? Nothing went wrong. There was no hassle. Everybody went in for an hour before the match, had a couple of pints, watched the game, fucked off home. So you have good examples of good positive thinking across the game. And as I say, I hope that those people who are getting together, or number one, are being quite self-critical, look at your own actions and say, right, well, if we get rid of that, is it going to make any difference? No. Well, then let's try it. Let's be positive. Let's work with people. And also, too, if they just refuse to deal with this, what's our next steps? And where's the opposition coming from? And target those people and say, well, we're not happy about that. This is what we're going to do. But in a general sense, it's absolutely brilliant. The Homeboys are four square. Jason shared the statement with us the other day, and I don't think there was any comment on it. Even everybody was just going, we're completely behind you, and it's long past time. So fair play.
Yeah. When you go, Liam.
Yeah, so just a few things really. I think the group should be applauded for making the effort to try and put groups from different clubs together to try and unite and put one voice forward. I know it wasn't every club or every club's ultra groups involved, but still a substantial amount, which is good. And I think they've done the right thing to say, look, we've come to you in peace almost. You know what I mean? We've come forward in a respectful way. We've documented down the things we're looking to do. We're trying to get some engagement's the main thing here, isn't it? That's the main thing. We're trying to get some engagement. Right, stop labeling, persecuting us, and give us a voice, and let's have some adult conversation. But the thing is, in Britain, when has authority in Britain ever put a hand out to any kind of cultural movement whatsoever? And we can go through 50, 60 years of them. It's never ever tried to understand culture. It's never tried to kind of find the middle ground with culture. It's always been demonized. Jason, you've been involved in lots of things, same as I have.
Described as counterculture, Liam, all the time.
Oh, totally. I mean, you remember the acid house, the dance movement. It was fucking amazing times, and then just completely knocked down and shut down as quickly as it could. And there's loads of examples.
People are fucking enjoying themselves.
Exactly. So the chance of any authorities in Britain, whether it be the SFA or the police or the government or whoever, zero chance they're going to have any interest in talking to these people. Unfortunately, it's really sad. But a lot of what the guys were saying, you could split it in two almost. So like pyro is obviously a big problem for ultras. The police presence is a big problem for ultras. But things like ticket pricing and ticket allocations and all that shouldn't have to be led by these groups. So that should be every fan's concern and thoughts. And actually, if you're being really honest, it should be the clubs that are driving that. When we talked about 20s plenty on here a number of times, Celtic are cash rich, and I know we're going to come on to that a bit later on, but Celtic are cash rich. We could have easily gone forward and said we're charging £20 for every away fan. I know that home fans might be a bit pissed off because they're paying more per game, but we're going to actually make a fucking stand forward in this game here and try and improve the supporter experience or take the burden off people financially. That's where it should be coming from, or the whole support should be looking at these things. But as we know, there's just zero interaction between the club in terms of supporter welfare or just progression in terms of what we want to do.
And the thing as well, Liam, I know the ultra groups bear the brunt of the heavy policing more than most, but it comes to us all. I mean, there's been last season probably half a dozen occasions where I was involved with fucking heavy policing, and you're just like, fucking, I'm just walking to the game here. Easter Road, case in point, some European games at Celtic Park. Shocking. Tannadice.
Yeah, I guess the difference is, Jason, they get it. They're travelling abroad, coming back at the work, at the house, or whatever.
Totally.
That's probably the difference. We we can choose to go to that or not, and it probably wouldn't impact us if we weren't in games, although we're always going to be there. But I think it's a bigger issue.
Oh,
for them as well.
absolutely. But the heavy policing is an absolute disgrace.
Completely.
Yeah. So that's that. So yeah, as I say, best of luck to the guys, and I hope it goes well, and I hope it grows and grows, and they get more participation. I mean, at the end of the day, this is for every supporter group in Scotland. Everybody should be taking to do with it. I mean, there's no reason for you not to take to do with it. And supporters should be pushing the change. Because see, at the end of the day, see if every supporter group they got, I don't know, whether they could say 50% of the away support of each club was to do a mass boycott one weekend. You know, they wouldn't be long in getting them round the table. You know, if you hurt them in the pocket.
Well, that's where everything tends to fall down at the end of the day. Just know somebody will always break the picket.
Aye, that's it. And a load of them won't be interested in the picket because they don't like the ultras anyway.
And that's where it gets fractured and it all goes to fuck.
I know.
But I mean, you're completely right. You're 1,000% right. If you could trim their beard financially in one single fucking swoop, they go, oh fuck, the power dynamic is now shifting.
Aye.
But it's developing that community, and I swear to God, much love and fucking all the power in the world to the lads that are putting this together, because that's exactly what it takes. It takes a union.
Aye,
I mean, and in this day and age, even when politics is becoming a fucking a fractured game and a different game now, I mean, it takes people to go, you know what? We should all get together. And as long as you're together, it's fucking brilliant, right? See, when you get fractured, then it turns to fuck. I mean, so stay together, stay on message is my hope.
Totally.
But Marty's gone again, is he? Fuck me. How busy's Marty? We'll call him. I was delighted by a conversation now to start things off. It was good. I enjoyed that. It's brilliant. So can we just direct everybody in the direction of these people with this message? Like, is there socials we can follow? Is there anything?
Well, I'll put the see, you've got the message in the chat. I'll put it in our chat again and just tweet it from, and it takes you a link to the page, and just follow the page.
Right, so we'll stick that in now. So timestamp, fucking what's up? Where are we now? We're at fucking, I don't know how many minutes we're in, but so I'll stick that in the on Twitter. I'll stick it in the comments as well.
Yeah,
happy days. Brilliant.
Cool.
People united can never be defeated. There you go. Happy days.
Sham 69 song there, Joe.
They were a bit fascist with it all.
Probably.
It's different time, no? Different time.
Talking about politics, are you joined, Liam?
Yeah, absolutely.
I did myself.
Absolutely.
Is this the Corbyn thing?
Yeah, chinky light at the end of the tunnel.
Can't say chink anymore.
I like that. That was good.
Can't laugh at your own jokes, John.
Of course I can. That's all I fucking do on this show, Liam. That's all people hear me do.
Joe, did you take a thesaurus with you on holiday, by the way?
Why?
Rambunctious and paradox in the first 5 minutes from you.
The thing is, I haven't had that many drinks today. I've come back from holiday and thought, like, I'm going to do not say a health kick. I'm going to drink a lot more smoothies in the morning. Going to eat less bread. Going to drink soup for my lunch. Try and eat meat in the evening, and then go out walking. And I started doing kettlebells in the garden. So I was like, try and keep it going. You know what I mean,
I thought Harry Brady had taken over the airwaves.
Listen. The reason I drink on this show is to dumb myself down for you fuckers.
Until you fall asleep, mate. It works as well.
Well, it goes too far sometimes. You know what I mean?
Superb.
Right. So since we were last on, the games we've had have been.
Never you mind. You'll make a mess of it. The bottom line is Skip attended one of them. So Liam, you've not been on. So give us the rundown of Celtic's pre-season friendly in the Algarve.
Yeah, I was on last time, but that was before. That was before
you?
the game. Yeah, but that was before the game. So it's been a few weeks since the last show. I think. I think I missed one.
How did it go?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Look, I'm probably not going to give you the warts and all account that you're looking for because I did it. It was a family affair for us. So it wasn't the full booner like most others would have done. But as you know, and as you said, Jason, it's always amazing to watch Celtic in the sun abroad. Particularly, I know we go to a lot of European games, but it's very rare. I've been to one where there's been blazing sunshine all the time. So we just got lucky. We booked the holiday probably almost a year, 9 months ago, whatever. Saw Celtic were going to be training in the Algarve, so I thought might be lucky enough to get to a training camp and see them for an hour or so, and then they end up playing Sporting Lisbon down in the Algarve itself the day after we arrived. So you can't ask for much more luck than that one. I was saying to a few people, it would have been amazing if we could have played Sporting up in the Estadio Nacional. I mean, that would have been really special, wouldn't it? But I don't know why they didn't consider that or whatever. I'm not sure. But my friend who's is assistant manager at Birmingham just now. So Birmingham, they played Seville a few days before we arrived on the Saturday. And because we've been looking at maybe getting a car and taking a drive somewhere, and Seville's only 2.5 hours from the Algarve.
Yeah.
So I assume they were playing the game in Seville, but turns out they played in the same stadium as that Celtic played in a few days before. So it's obviously must be a thing that they do. Because Celtic had been up at the Benfica training complex, I think, or the Portuguese training complex, because they played that game on the Saturday against Australia. That was in the Benfica complex, so that's why I thought we might have played up at the Estadio Nacional. But
see the Algarve Stadium. Is there a team that plays there?
Yeah. So remember I said to you, we had a sports bar just round the corner from us.
Aye.
And I was in chatting to the boy who worked in there every day, and he played with Jota when he was younger, and he plays in there. So he plays for the team. He did tell me the name of them. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, it's a really smart stadium.
Look a nice stadium.
Yeah, it's quite unusual. It's quite a way out as such. It's right next to the airport, so we stayed kind of in a little part to the left of Albufeira. So kind of for us to go back there was about 35 minutes or whatever, but we ended up just going down to Villamoura. That's where Mick was with his family. So he drove over and picked us up. We went down to Villamoura, went down to the marina in the afternoon, just got some food and drinks, which was brilliant. It was scorching hot down there. Plenty of Sporting fans, a few Celtic fans kicking about. And then we just got a taxi booked and went to the game. So we kind of didn't really see any bars or whatever full of Celtic fans, which I'm sure there would have been up at Jinkies and the Lions.
How many Celtic fans you reckon up there? About 1,000.
It felt like about half. It felt like a couple of thousand at least, I would say.
Right, good.
Yeah,
you couldn't really tell on the telly. You could see wee pockets here and there, but everybody had green and white on, so
yeah,
it was
exactly.
Like deceiving.
Exactly. Probably the baldy ones would have been the Celtic fans and the handsome tanned dark.
But I tell you, it was some game. They played well.
Yeah. First half was a bit kind of hit and miss. I didn't appreciate how bad Ida's miss was until I saw it afterwards, like on the phone or whatever. But yeah, we should have been kind of pretty even first half. We could have been, 1-1 or 1-0 or whatever. But then second half, we seemed to really come out fast. We come out really good in the second half, and he got the penalty, and then McCowan's goal was fantastic. Really good play by Kenny. But just really good. All the fans obviously just mixed in together, no bother whatsoever. I bought the tickets as soon as I come out, so I was kind of across from the camera, kind of maybe 10 rows up, right on the halfway line. But it was interesting because when we got there, all the kind of Sporting fans were sat in the seats that all the Celtic fans had booked. So a few people just end up moving them, which we did as well because there were 7 of us. So like, look, it's only about 2 or 3 people in our seats. That wasn't too bad, but there's a few people getting shifted about. But perfect view. I mean, brilliant, vantage point where we were and whatever. But just, I was quite surprised you couldn't get a beer in the game.
Did you know?
Non-alcohol you could, but I thought, friendly Celtic over there. You thought they'd put some, because there was nothing round by the stadium at all. It was kind of like, I don't know, a bit like Livingston, maybe where Livingston is compared to Edinburgh Airport, just in a bit of a random spot.
You were all on the tail at the end.
Yeah, we didn't come at the game and then got a few texts to say that we were on, so we managed to grab that footage. But there was beer places outside the grounds. You could go and get a pint outside the ground, but we got there fairly late once we'd had some food and drinks and whatever. We had a taxi booked, and the traffic was pretty difficult kind of getting there, and then the same on the way back because of the location. Most people had drove to the game, or the buses or whatever kicking about. So we ended up just getting a bus and then dropping Mick off and kind of going home. So we didn't miss out on all the sort of party and stuff that was going on maybe in other places. But brilliant experience. My second Celtic away win in Europe in fuck knows how many trips away, and definitely the warmest and the most pleasant experience. So yeah, it was Air the year before in pre-season, and then the Algarve this year in the sun. So
happy days.
Definitely gone up in the world. Not quite met your America one yet, Jason, but maybe that's next year's trip for us. So yeah, I thought it was the best we played. I mean, the Australia game on the Saturday, we weren't great in that game, to be honest with you. But this seemed to be the big step up that we were looking for in terms of performance.
Good, nice one. See that Maccabi mob get knocked out.
Oh, fuck.
What's the story with the current bonds?
Fucking
Jambi. I watched that last week in Salou, that fucking game. I was in an English pub for fucking dinner because I heard it was great, and it wasn't great at all. Next thing, 20 minutes before the game, it started filling up with blue. I was like, right, everybody eat the fuck up. We're getting out of here. Right? And then watch the game. I was almost certain Panathinaikos were just going to thrash them in the first half. It was unbelievable.
Well, I was at the same as you having dinner, and then kind of reading bits on the huddle board, and it said they were getting battered. There should be 3 down or whatever. And I'm like, right, I go to the bar and watch it. And then as soon as the guy put it on for me, it was like 1-0, red card. I'm like, fucking every time you do that, same thing happens.
Right, enough of them.
Right, that's enough. That's that portion done.
I don't know if we can draw that team Paphos that knocked the Maccabi mob, but that'd be something.
No, we can. I'm trying to read it here. So, I can't. It's too small. Hold on, I can make this better. Yeah. So we can Ball still, Sturm Graz, and then either the winners of Slovan or Karat, Karabag or Shekandia, Dynamo Kiev and Paphos.
Is that for delivery? It sounds like you're ordering it.
Dynamo Kiev wouldn't be the easiest, would it?
No, not at all. So there's only 2 fixtures confirmed, two teams through. So that's Ball and Sturm Graz. 3 more to go. It's not. You going to go to this qualifier, Jason, or you're rolling it out because you're holiday?
No, I'll not be going there. Going forward at the end of the month.
It doesn't feel like there's an easy trip, does it, with a big stadium?
I don't actually know how many Celtic would take anyway. You know what? I think people get up for the Champions League or the Europa League, whatever you're in. They make plans. But see, for like the pre-season one, they never really take a massive crowd to the qualifiers. It just doesn't happen because loads of people are skint or on holiday at the time. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of unless you haven't booked holidays.
I quite fancy doing it this year just to go somewhere more random, but I've definitely skipped that after the summer I've had. But I did fancy just somewhere quite random. So
I mean, the time we went to Zagreb, it was that was after we stopped them 10 in a row.
Would that be August time? Would it have been?
That was scorching, but you're talking 900 fans there or something.
Yeah.
1,000 fans if you're lucky. Yeah, I think these qualifiers, you get a couple of thousand max would go to it. Obviously, once you're in the Champions League, then you're talking, that's when you take the 5, 6, 7,000. But the qualifiers, very rarely. I think with the qualifier, when we played Ajax, we took a massive crowd to that, the Martin O'Neill time. That was a qualifier, wasn't it? We beat them 3-1 in aggregate.
Yeah.
We took a massive crowd to that. But that was kind of the start of the Martin era. Everybody was mad for it. But obviously, we're having Europe every year now, sort of thing, and it's kind of lost its, I don't know. You know, it's like if you're not in Europe for years, then you get in, everybody goes. But when you're in it every year, and if you qualify, you're talking there's another minimum 4 away European trips. A load of folk will kind of hedge their bets. Even if you get knocked out, you're talking you're still going to get the Europa League, which will be better trips. Potentially.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I can't see that many going, but you've got a hardcore over there, obviously, but I won't be there.
So, did you watch the game against Sporting?
I've watched them all. It was good.
Yeah, me too.
I liked the first half as well. I thought it was a good game. It was kind of a bit even Stevens, but I thought it was well. And I watched the new. I didn't even go to you didn't go to the Newcastle game either, didn't you? You were on holiday.
Yeah, I watched it that was brilliant. Again, I went down to. So you got Jinky's Bar in Albufeira, which is like in the size of my bedroom. Do you know what I mean? So, but there's one McConnell's just behind it called the Lions Corner, which is really smart, to be fair.
Right.
So we ended up going in there and it was empty, but then at kick-off it filled up. So I sat with a group of dubs in there, had a good crack with them.
Celtic are brilliant.
Yeah.
But okay, at the end of the day, pre-season friendlies are what they are. But there was a bit of a lesson we got off Ajax. They absolutely fucking destroyed us. That was awful. But then they played no bad against that Saudi team. I couldn't even tell you the name of them, but they played all right, you know. But okay, at the end of the day, it's just getting the fitness up. But the Newcastle game was kind of outstanding. But I think they'd only had one pre-season game previous to that. But they weren't even at the races.
No.
Highlight was Tony Ralston doing the fucking Karate Kid in that wee bastard. That was good. But so just pre-season, it's like the trips are better when you go to them rather than actually the content that you're watching on the park. It's just getting fit. But the highlights for me, Nygren looks a player. I don't know about the two Japanese. I don't know about Shin up front. He looked no bad. He looks nippy, potential. But the boy at left back, he looks really good.
Yeah, 100%.
And obviously Tierney. So 3 big highlights there for me. And I think Nygren will be a player. I think he looks really, really good. But as I say, we'll see once obviously the competitive stuff starts. But been massively impressed with him. And but I don't know if we want to go into the sort of lack of transfer activity at a kind of needed level, if we want to kind of step up to improve our Champions League run that we had last year. I don't know what you guys think. Is there anything else you want to discuss, or do you want to go into that now? Or
I take it there was no bother or anything at Celtic Newcastle, was it? Because obviously they had 10,000 plus up in Glasgow, was it?
I wasn't at the game and I wouldn't like to comment. So I think
the bother was probably going back to the road. Like the bother was going back to the road when they got scalped. I watched it in Murphy's in Salou. I had to walk to it right to find it, and I passed this English bar, and they had a big massive screen on. They had the game on, and there may have been 4 Celtic fans in the place. It was a big. There's all fucking other English people. I was like, fuck, I'd watch it in there. And then I walked on to Murphy's and see, I was sitting there about beating 4-0. I was like, should have went to that English bar. Should have sat there. Should have fucking just cozied in and enjoyed myself.
End up getting lumped to a pint tumbler.
I mean, but I shared the Murphy's with fucking Salou, Shea behind the bar. Good crack. It was nice. Man.
The Newcastle game, to be fair, there was some crowd. I didn't expect. Because out of me and all my mates, nobody went to it. You know, just wasn't a game that for pre-season friendly.
Despite the 4 goals, right, which again, as you say, is a pre-season friendly. Best part of it was Kieran Tierney.
Oh, when he came on. Oh, brilliant. The best Catholic introduction ever. I'd blessed his still 3 times.
I was gonna bring that up and go, Jesus loves you, kids. Jesus loves you.
Aye. Oh, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. It was great for all his family to be there as well, and just like how emotional they were and how emotional he was, you know. And I mean, at the end of the day, obviously, I mean, me personally, I'm in a wee bit of a downer with the Celtic at the minute because you kind of read between the lines. And I just don't think everyone's all right in the Celtic.
It seems very weak tea.
Nothing more than in my own head. But
I think you're right though to read it that way because it kind of feels like well, we expect it to be above par at this point in terms of like making things happen, and it seems like we're subpar. It just feels that way.
It's funny because there's still like 4 or 5 weeks to go with the transfer window. Do you know what I mean? So it might just be.
It could be two things, Jason. It could be us being linked to reality, or it could be just this affliction we have of fucking decades of the same hope and fucking doubt and fucking period of like, oh, what the fuck's going to happen? Is this going to fuck? Or is this going to get better? I think we actually might be emotionally conditioned at this point by Celtic's fucking transfer policies over the years.
Can I see kind of playing devil's advocate, right? See, Celtic had spent 12 million quid and getting Kieran Tierney, and they paid like 10 million for Nygren, right? People would be happy with it. Do you know what I mean? That's like, obviously you still need a striker and a winger, but it's like I don't know. It's funny. The two Japanese guys cost next to nothing. They look good, especially back. But I just think it just seems a bit disjointed. And the most thing for me is Brendan Rodgers' comments, right? He keeps saying we need to strengthen, right? And the comment about the Japanese lad that left back, like he won't be part of the proceedings. Then he proceeds to say, "Oh, he looked good." You're like, it's not like him because he's always very cold and calculated in what he says. He very rarely says things that he doesn't mean to say. He gets his message across what he wants to say. Regardless of what you think about him, he's always very cold and calculated when he's doing an interview, and he knows exactly what he's wanting to get across. And he kind of seems a wee bit kind of all over the place here, which is kind of worrying for me. And he'll see you at his 3 year because he said he would, right? He made a point of saying he would see you at his 3 year, but I'm not very hopeful that he'll see any longer. And that's the worrying thing for me, that if getting into his final year, say worst case scenario, the board don't back him and he throws the rattle out the pram. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but I'm just a wee bit worried about what the season is going to bring for us. I don't know if any of you think that way.
Surely two things are going on here, aren't they? So one, either he's said clearly he's not willing to discuss extension or consider an extension, and the club are like that. Well, fine. Well, we don't want to speculate financially with your signings. You're not going to commit to the club, which for me is completely wrong approach to do. We should be having the strongest team and squad, irrespective of the manager or what's happening in 6 or 12 months. Or he's kind of he's stringing it out and saying, look, I'm waiting to see the support you give me, the backing you give me by the end of this transfer window, that give me a chance to do well, equally as well or better in Europe before I want to commit myself to a longer term agreement here. And I guess the only way to see which one's correct is where we end up at the end of August.
That's a fair point. But you make a good point there, Liam. But if indeed that is the case, the first point that you made, that the club, he's maybe said that he's not extending it beyond the end of the 3 year term. So the club are saying, well, we're not investing in you because you're going to fuck off and it's not going to be the new manager's players. If that's the kind of standpoint of the club, that's fucking ridiculous.
Exactly.
Is he deliberately going to sign fucking donkeys so that the next manager fucking looks like a clown? That's just beyond the pale, but it's a potential.
Yeah. I mean, let's say that's even true, right? So even if that's true, then we've sold Kyogo, we've sold Matt O'Reilly, we've sold Boone, right? So somebody, if that's true, which surely it can't be, but if it is, someone at the club should be going out and saying, right, this is the striker we want to bring in to be Kyogo's replacement. And Marty could be good. I'm not sure whether that's the replacement. We definitely haven't replaced the winger or the wingers. So I mean, they're not going to let Rodgers pick his own players, which I don't know if that's the case. Then someone should be buying the players. So it's bizarre either way.
Aye, and the thing is, as you say, you made the point, wingers, because we've lost Jota and we've lost Kuhn. Because at the end of the day, Jota's not going to be back at probably this calendar year. So you're going to be out the Champions League by the time he comes back. So obviously you can play Maeda out there, but then that's leaving you with Ida up front. And Johnny Kenny's not going to cut it at that level. And the new Japanese kid, Shin, I mean, maybe he would, but it's going to be a massive punt you don't know how these players are going to pan out. The squad we've got now could turn out to be the best thing ever. The cut price, the kid for Fulham could be a cracker. We don't know, but they haven't gave themselves the best opportunity to progress any further in the Champions League. And to me, it's about a kick in the teeth to Rodgers that they're not willing to back him, especially because we've got the money to do it. And I'm not saying go out and just willy-nilly throw 15 million at somebody, but we should have players identified that can come in and hit the ground running and be a centre forward and give us 25 to 30 goals a season. And I'm not sure Adam Ida can do that. So, I mean, he has proven that he can score in the Champions League, etc. But I don't know. I'm kind of getting.
See, here's the thing, Jason. Your logic has now woken me up to a fucking worry I didn't have 20 minutes ago. I mean, that's like when you kind of let it out there, like you've got like fucking Shin, Ada, and Johnny Kenny to kind of choose from. Is Osmond a striker? He's not a striker, is he?
Yeah.
Is he a striker?
Yeah.
Yes, the boy for Fulham. Aye, he's a striker. But again,
there's nothing there. You're going like, what's this?
So him, Shin, and Johnny Kenny, the three of them are just wild punts. Johnny Kenny, I just don't think he's. They could play up front for us in the SPL and we could win the league because we've got better players all around the ground and we've got goals for other places, right? But if you get into the Champions League with him, you can absolutely forget it. I mean, I might be totally wrong. They could end up being brilliant, but it's a massive, massive gamble. It's not.
No, I mean, once you come up against big teams, like fucking, like put it this way. Think of Bayern Munich last year. Can you imagine Johnny Kenny and fucking Osman and Shin against the back four of Bayern Munich last year?
I know.
He's fucking eating like a fucking like an hors d'oeuvre.
It's just it's worrying, to be honest with you. And I mean, Kuhn gave us 20 odd goals. You're talking about him and Kyogo, that's 40 odd goals you've lost for that team for the start of last season. So the guys that they've brought in, I'm not going to replace them. Because Nygren looks great. He's playing maybe a central midfielder. He is going to be vying with Engels and Bernardo for that third midfield spot. So, because you've got Callum McGregor and Hatate, if they're fit, they're playing 100% of the time. And then there is one other. Then you've got, we're back to James Forrest being like a mainstay. And God love Jamesy, Celtic legend and whatever. But come on.
James.
Let's face it, for a team that gets so much success for the wings, we're basically sitting with Maeda, Yang, and Jamesy Forrest. That's it.
I think Yang's going to have a season. I do.
But that's another punt.
I know, but
he's good one week. He's good one week. He's rubbish the next.
But so was Hatate for a fucking period, and we were all convinced that Hatate was the next coming of fucking McStay at one point.
But Hatate's different class.
Aye, when but again, are you telling me he didn't go hot and cold for like a consistent period of time there last season?
But he always had it in the fucking locker. But
that's like anybody that's hot and cold. If you have it,
which Yang done apart for a couple of wee cameos that he's looked really good?
Towards the end of last season, I thought Yang scored some goals, and I thought a lot of his play was a lot more forceful, a lot more consistent, and his end product was a lot better. I mean, I may be fucking wrong. My memory be fucked.
No, but he did. But for what sample size are we using here? We're probably using a cumulative of what 200 minutes.
But it's football. It's the fucking church of what's happening now. You know what I mean?
The bottom line is, hold on. The bottom line is that Brendan Rodgers agrees with Jason, because Brendan Rodgers said, "I only have Yang." Somebody asked him about would he go out and loan again. Well, no, he's a starting player. He's all we've got. So Rodgers is even saying that. You can tell he's worried that he only has this guy who has only shown it in bits and pieces. Now, Yang had a great end of last season. I'm not knocking him for it. That's what we want to see. We want to see players who come in, progress, and stuff like that. And sometimes it takes a couple of years for these guys to get up and running. And that seems to be the theme of this transfer window. Again, we seem to be bringing in players for, for the future. Like,
I do recall last season Brendan Rodgers being very much on the Yang train, bigging Yang up, picking Yang for games, starting Yang at points, and getting paid him.
We're not talking about playing Bayern Munich here.
No, but hold on. And at no point did Rodgers say Yang shit. That's not what he was saying. The inference was, I can't rely on him. I need more, and I need quality. So in other words, he doesn't fucking think Yang is the quality we need. That's basically what he has been talking about for the last couple of weeks. The players that we have are probably all decent players. You know what I mean? We've brought in players. I have to say, none of them look like bad players. No, nobody's went on the pitch and done a Nat Phillips on us or a fucking Shane Duffy. You know what I mean? They all look all right. Even the young players who have stepped up look all right. And we can't talk about the second half against Ajax, but it was like a flood of players all come on the pitch at one time. I don't think it's worth even talking about. I don't particularly give a fuck ever about preseason. Like, you know what I mean? And last year's preseason was brilliant. Do you know what I mean? And we carried that form in the Champions League. That's all great. But this year's a different year. As Jason said, Kyogo's gone, Kuhn's gone. We're a different team. These players don't look too bad. The Yamada looks very good. Looks like a tidy footballer. Inamura looks like a tidy footballer. The fucking guy whose name I can't fucking say, Ngoyen or whatever the fuck you pronounce it, he looks like a tidy footballer too. They don't actually look like bad players. But the point is, can they cope with Bayern Munich? Can they cope with Real Madrid or Barcelona? The answer in the same with Yang is fucking no. We need two real star players in that team to lift us above the shit. In my opinion, I could be wrong. These guys could come out fucking blasting over the next month or two, and I sincerely hope they do. But I'm not going to the squad going, Engels came in last year, Ada came in last year. They didn't really set the head on fire. We paid a lot of money for them. Is the board going now? Well, those two guys didn't really make any impact, so we're just going to go back and fall back on what we know, taking in decent players on small amounts of money, because and who don't have big wage expectations, so it doesn't fuck up the wage bill, which rightly they're thinking about, because your season ticket has gone up. Do you know what I mean? So it's like we're sitting here again, and it's just typical Celtic. And this year, to me, they're not prepared to pay the premium. And as we said a minute ago, we might all be wrong, and things may change. We've got 4 weeks to go of the transfer window, but the bodies that are in already this season are way more than the bodies that were in this time last season. So we have brought in far more players this year, and everybody's fucking still up in arms. So if Rodgers is still ringing alarm bells and saying it's not enough, I need good quality, it should be a fucking worry for everybody. Whether or not Rodgers is staying or not doesn't matter.
That's the crux of the matter, Marty, right? See if Rodgers was coming out saying, well, let me tell you, it's not about the money you spend, and let me tell you, I know a football player, and I'm looking at these guys and we have won a watch with these players, right? See if he was exuding that, I would be all right, but he's not.
No, I
Do you
know.
know what I mean?
And look, Rogers doesn't really do that either. Jason, he's not that type of guy. He's wily. He's a wily
Aye,
fox,
exactly. That was my point
and
earlier.
he's putting it up to the board. Ready? That's what he's saying. Listen, these guys may be brilliant. They may be shit. I don't fucking know. He says, but I know they're not the quality that I need. You know, you have to bring in like a banker, which is difficult to do in football. But I think last year really burnt us. That we fucked about with Norwich so much that we ended up paying a massive premium for Adamida. You could absolutely see this scenario at board level where the board are going, he's not worth us in June. And Roger saying, I don't give a fuck what you think. I want him here. And digging his heels in. And then they give him what he wants eventually. And the player doesn't set the heather on fire. Now, Adamida had a 20 fucking goal season last year. Adamida, by no stretch of the imagination, was a fucking failure. He wasn't a failure. But yet, you can tell that whatever the speculation about him is getting to him. Clearly. And he'd probably be fucking half the player he was this year than he was last year, which is fucking mental to think about. The guy actually done all right and
He
scored
did
big
all
goals
right, but
in
it's
the
like,
Champions League.
see, I know two crackers. See, the thing is, and by the way, probably the biggest one at the end of the day, they know much about it, but it was to beat your
HomeBhoys, aye.
young boys. You know,
Yeah.
if
Do
he
you know what I
wasn't
mean?
in the
And,
park, he wouldn't have qualified. I mean, he more than paid his crack. I mean, how
and
you would
he
maybe
was
know.
second choice main striker. Jason, he was not our main striker last
I
year.
was going to make
Kyogo,
that point. What
I mean,
minutes the first half of the season? How many minutes did he play? Do you know
yeah.
when Kyogo was there? So,
Yep.
but I still think I don't think he's good enough to be your number one striker. I wouldn't be confident him being our number one striker. And see, I'll be honest with you. See if that Udinese bid or the speculation Udinese are in from. And do you know what's quite ironic, right? See Udinese, Everton signed Beto for Udinese. They love a striker like that. See Udinese, see if you watch them over the years, they've had big fucking physical strikers. That's kind of what they like. And I could actually see them liking him. Whether there's anything in it or not, I don't know. But I'll be honest with you. See if like Udinese were to come into us for a £7 million bid or something like that, I would cut my losses. I just don't think he's. I like the guy, right? And I think he's all right. But that was when Kyogo was playing this. Because it was always we had Kyogo and we could fall back on him, and I think he's a good impact sub to come on, and he gets you important goals, and he's got the bottle to put the ball away. You know, when the chances come in a big pressure situation, he can dispatch it. You know, he's proven that. But I just don't see enough of a starting striker. I just don't think he does enough, and the play looks a bit disjointed when he's playing, and like, just watching Kyogo for years, it was just amazing to watch, you know. He was just playing in the shoulder of the defender, and he was that quick there a couple of yards, and fucking some of his goals were out of this world. I don't know, he's not as good as Kyogo, and totally different type player, but we need a better number 9 to lead the line for us. And I think that's the long and short of it. And I don't think any of the other 3 young ones that we spoke about there have the answer either.
I think that Kyogo was always really good at. Kyogo could play with other players to get himself in. You know what I mean? You play 1-2s, you could play passes. He could create play and then make himself come in. I mean, and then get the pass. I don't think Ada has that ability. You have to feed Ada. I mean, and again, you had to feed Kyogo as well, but Kyogo had that ability of like coming a bit deeper, playing the ball towards like, you know, the midfielders and then getting himself in with a run. I don't know if Ada possesses that ability in the same capacity.
Well, all you need to do is look at Joe. How many times did Kyogo caught offside because the other player wasn't up to his speed and put the through ball to him, right? How many times does he get caught offside? Very rarely.
Very rarely, yeah.
You know, he plays with his back to the game a lot.
Aye,
and I'm no dissing the boy because I do think he's a good football player.
He can take a chance.
And I don't care about the 9 million, right? I don't care what they paid for him, right? We've got fucking plenty of money. I don't care. We've sold loads of players over the odds and what we should have got for them. You know, it's fucking the amount of money we brought in. We've done exactly the same to other clubs, what they've paid for us, what we did to Norwich. So having one back to us isn't the worst thing in the world. I do think Engels will be a class act. I think he'll go on to have a great career. And I think we'll probably see the best of him this year. He's definitely settled in now. And I think that boy's got bags of ability. I think Engels, I've not got any worries with him whatsoever. And I think you would definitely recoup the money that you paid for him. I don't think that's whatever. But I just think if Udinese were serious and there was a bid in that you were recouping the majority of the money that you spent in Ida, I would cut my losses with him. That's the way I feel. And I hope he proves me wrong if we don't sell him, you know. I hope he, because I still like the boy, but I just want better. I want us to have a go this year in Europe. And I know we're not going to win a European trophy, but I just want us to have a go.
What I love, though, is come Sunday night, we could all be singing a different tune.
Well, then he could score a hat-trick no bother on Sunday. You know, it's like... But I don't know. What do you think, Liam, Marty? Liam, what do you think, leader?
I think, I think the game that stood out for me was the Ajax game. I know we haven't talked about that, right? And 5-1 flattered Ajax a bit, right? I mean, we hit the bar twice in the first half as well as scoring. We looked really good in that first half. And it was one of them, a bit like the Dortmund game, where every time they shot, it seemed to go in the net. Do you know what I mean? Like fucking top corner or brilliant goals, man. The particular one the centre half scored for them was fucking unbelievable, man. But just in that game, what stood out for me was, I think I put it in the chat, was the boy up front for Ajax, and I've got no idea how much he cost or what his pedigree is, but like Scales couldn't get fucking near him. Do you know what I mean? He was just he was bouncing off him, and the boy was taking the ball down, doing all sorts of stuff. And then at the other end, every time the ball went near either, it just seemed to bounce off him or the guy come through him. And I think I said this last season. I was making the point last season about Ida when he played against Kilmarnock. That time he won the league, and he was literally unplayable, right? So you could see he's got all the attributes you need in that kind of striker, but you just don't see it enough for him. Don't see it enough from him. No. You know, and he's got a good goals to minutes ratio. He scored important goals for us. And I think, like you said, I think if he was our second striker this season, he'd probably get 20 goals again. I don't think there's any problem there. But I think if he cost 3 million, nobody would be too bothered about the fact that he was our backup striker. But people are getting hung up on the price, which doesn't bother me too much. But I don't think we could ever hang our hat on him as being the number 9, the first choice striker through a whole season here. And I think Celtic need that sort of play. You need that kind of that glamour. And Yamada might end up being an amazing player, right? He looked really good when he played that half of the game there. But for me, I don't want Celtic to sign another striker that's just the same as either or that category, right? I'd rather we either bought someone that's going to take us to a different level, or we just might do what we got and maybe get Ada back up top. We would get the right wingers in or whatever else, because we don't need more of the same level of players here. You know, we need someone that was Kyogo kind of level of movement and finishing, or something different that's gonna elevate us a little bit.
And it's interesting you say it, right? Because obviously I've discounted Maeda as up front, but I would, out of the 4 that we have at the minute, I would have Maeda in front of the 4 of them without a shadow of a doubt. But then that leaves you with 2 wingers. You know, that's you. You're at the bare bones. You've got James Forrest and Yang.
Yeah, the winger one is really, really, really weird. Do you know what I mean? Really weird, because we needed one anyway with Jota being out. And then obviously selling Kuhn. You know, we've all had our criticisms of Kuhn, right? But fucking the goals and assists on their own just from last season, you're like, oh, you've got to replace that. So it probably lends a bit of credence to the fact that maybe there are deals lined up and either the players aren't committing or we're not committing because Rodgers wants them and they're too expensive, or they're down the level and Rodgers doesn't want them but the club want them. You know, there's something not quite right in the background there, is there? Because I know Celtic are bad at times, but I can't believe they're this bad that they've gone this long without having targets lined up and ready to go.
exactly right. And I mean, it's the gamble that the Celtic board are playing here by getting in ill-equipped to this Champions League qualifier. I mean, if you get Ball, I know Scott's put it in the chat there, but if you get Ball, they're a tough game. You know, they could knock us out. You know, what's that, Marty? You're the financial whiz kid here, but what are you talking about? Are you talking 40 million you've lost?
Aye, of course you are. That's only your prize money. That's not before your tickets and all that sort of stuff.
You would probably still sell the stadium out for the Europa League anyway, but you're talking 40 million quid, and you know they're going to be getting into the game. I mean, you know they're going to line up with. Well, it's going to be Yang and or James Forrest on one side, Maeda on the other, and either through the middle. And how confident are you going to be with that? Because that doesn't work. Who are you bringing off the bench?
And see to go back to the money thing, right? Again, we've been talking about it for a whole year. It's the first time in our history we've ever been in a position of absolute strength. With all the money we need to do whatever we do need to do, it's all there. Without argument, you know, there's going to be. We had 70 million in the bank last year. There's going to be another 7. There'll be 70 million in again because we bought Engels and Ida and players like that, and up the wage bill and all the rest of it. So it'll be about the same, and at the end up, and we're sitting run by people who have no fucking clue. Like our last podcast, Scott asked us, what are we going to do with all this money? And the answer is fuck all. We're going to pay tax on it and let it sit there. Because that's basically what they're going to do. Like, they have no vision, no ambition, no clear. They're all old men. They're not going to fucking be here in 10, 15 years. None of them. You know what I mean? All of us not going to be here. Nicholson's not going to be here. Desmond's not going to be here. Brian Wilson's not going to be here. They're just fucking. They're done. They're just done old fucking wrinkly men. Do you know what I mean? And they brought in a woman or somebody, you know, that fucking. You know, to show a bit of diversity or whatever else. They're just a fucking joke. And I'm only praying that there are other people in the background. Like, we know we're going to have Ross Desmond next. He's next on the fucking board. But what happens to all them and all the rest of these dickheads go? Do you know what I mean? What is next for this club?
But you think getting Ross Desmond? What? I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about the kid, right? But what business acumen has he got? Apart from a rich dad. Do you know what I mean?
I have no idea. No idea.
That's fucking nepotism. It's just like, and it's just bonkers. You know, fucking no trap. But so here's the devil's advocate thing, right? We've been away in a tangent. Everything's shite. Everything's this. But you look at the unbridled success that we've had the previous years, right? Apart from Europe, right? And you say to yourself, and we have watched some amazing football. We've been waxing lyrical for years, and everyone's been rosy in the garden, right? But it's just, I've had this feeling since Scott and Liam and that have got me round to their way thinking of Europe. I just had that much a high last year with the way we competed against Bayern Munich, and you're just like that. You were proud at the end of the game. You're like that. One of Europe's finest. We went toe to toe with them, and if we'd went to extra time, we might have got knocked out. We might have got lucky and might have got through, but we definitely deserved to take them the extra time. Winning in Munich, you know, would have been unbelievable, right? And we were seconds away from it. To then where we're sitting now, you know, it's fucking gut wrenching.
And Jason, I was at a pint with Cormac on Sunday, and Eddie was in the pub, which we were chatting away, as you can imagine. And you know, I've used this phrase on here many times. Now, Celtic's the least ambitious big club out there. You know that you know of, really. You know, and last year, okay, we spent 25-30 million on those 3 players, but that's what we sold Matt O'Reilly for, more or less.
Aye, all the money. Aye, and see, the main thing. See, when you think back, Liam, we sold Kyogo a couple of nights before we were playing an away Champions League game to Aston Villa.
Yeah.
You know,
could have
you're
got us in the
going there.
playoff. You know,
Exactly.
could have got us
Exactly.
in the
We could have got into the playoff and straight through if we'd won that game down there, and we've sold our number one striker. Are you trying to tell me Kyogo wouldn't have wanted to play in that game?
But and we knew after whatever time that Maeda was banned, right? Because he got sent off. Remember in that game, so we knew we had no Maeda, and then
you could have pulled the deal if you agreed it before the game.
You can only imagine that Kyogo has been told as soon as we've got some kind of qualification, then he can go, or something along the something along those lines. You can only imagine, because otherwise, why would we not just made him wait for one more game?
Exactly.
And he never played a fucking stroke for them when he went either.
And the thing is, he was our player. We could have done what we wanted. He just says, "Look, you're not going. You're playing at Villa." And I get that that's not the best business practice, keeping players when they want to be here, right?
He's going anyway.
Aye, it's a Champions League game.
Yeah.
But so take that as read. That's just the fucking madness of Celtic, right? And people who aren't football people running a football club, right? So what about that? So we're sitting on, like, we all had all this money fucking spent before the season finished, right? And take, like, one simple example is the Frimpong money. The Frimpong money would have, in previous years, would have been our entire transfer budget. You know what I mean? Remember when Royal used to talk about blue chip players and all this shit? Our transfer budget then was about 6 million quid. You know what I mean? So, like, it beggars belief. It's, you're just like, how could you fuck this up? And as I say, we're caveating everything by saying we're still in July, right? But every year we say the same thing. Get your players in at the start of July. Get their fucking preseason under their belt and be ready for day one when the league starts. Day one's on fucking Sunday.
Right.
Like, it's fucking nuts. It's just a mad way of running a club. And Rodgers may be digging his heels in on transfers that he wants, who like Ada at this time last year, who maybe don't want to move yet. You know what I mean? They're waiting to see if other clubs come in for them, or if their agent can drum up, you know, some interest somewhere else. And maybe in England, if someone's in England, they may want to stay in England. But it doesn't look like that, because we're back out on the loan market, trying to get loan players in with no buyout clause, just a 1 year fucking dopey loan, same as we've done with Ada. You know, it seems to be what's happening with the guy from Man City. So it's like, what's the fucking point?
And here's the thing, Roger. I mean, we've sat there at speaking things with Rodgers, and he says players aren't ready until they're 22.
Exactly.
This guy's 19.
Well, it's the same as it looked the same as Osmond. I mean, when I heard about Osmond and he was this and he was that, and same as this guy coming in, he's the top man in Premier League 2, which I didn't fucking know existed. You know, and I'm looking at him. You know what I mean? And I'm expecting this guy to come in, hit the ground running, be straight into games, you know, and fucking all set, coming out of this great year that he's had, and you know, and you've hardly seen him, and there's hardly been a fucking word about him. In fact, the other week, I don't know what the fuck happened. One of the matches I was watching, I think I left the room or something, and I came back and he was on, and I hadn't realised that he'd come on. I was like, who the fuck is that? And then it was like 2 minutes to go or something. It was your man Osmond. Then holy fuck, I didn't even realise he was on the pitch. You know, so it's just the fucking club. I never ever hated my expectations of Celtic. You know, and it's mental because last year we broke our fucking transfer, we smashed our transfer record and shelled out 14 million on a player. And I just can't get away from the feeling that last year's transfer window is informing this year's transfer window. And the board are saying, nah, we spent too much on those two cunts and we're not doing the same thing this year, Brenton.
I mean, Marty, look at that centre half. I really struggled to get my head around this one today, right? So I can understand the whole, we sometimes wait till the English teams have put their squads together and there's players, not in the squads, and we might take one of them end of the window. That's not happened, right? The boys played a handful of games so far, 5 games, I think, for Man City, right? So if he's available earlier than that squad confirmation thing, why have we waited till we finished our last pre-season friendly? So he wouldn't have done much of pre-season because Man City will be miles behind us. So are we going to pitch this fucking 19-year-old boy straight into the first team? It just makes no sense. And we brought Sean Maloney in as his pathway to the first team guru or whatever. Dave Murray has played pretty well. No, Dave Murray might not be good enough to play for Celtic, right? That remains to be seen. But
he's looked really good.
Exactly. That's my point. So if now is not the time to give him an opportunity, when the fuck are we ever going to give players like that an opportunity? So it just really makes zero sense. The boy might be world class. I've not seen anything of him. He played against us last summer when we beat them. And I think someone said he's played 5 times for Man City and they've lost all 5 games, which is a great start.
And by the way, this has been the worst Man City team in the last 10 years.
Yep.
Last season.
Yep.
So
don't get me wrong, they were quality teams the other fucking 9 years, but they were fucking hopeless last year compared to it.
Yeah, and I think look at Paddy Roberts. I don't know what age he was when we got him in, right? But attacking players at that age are kind of quite fearless, aren't they? They just kind of like give them the ball and they'll do what they do. But
Central defenders at 19, fucking
themselves. They're well renowned for maturing at 24, 25, whatever, and then having something about them. So he might be brilliant and he might prove us all wrong, but in line with the rest of the summer, it's just
and again
a comfortable feeling.
If you look at that again, Liam, through last season's prism, right? I really do think that last year has had a huge effect on this year. So they're looking at fucking Rodgers going, "You're looking for another centre back? We'll give you £6 million last year to sign Austin Trusty. What's he doing still here? You're not getting any more money for centre backs here. Here's go and get a loan deal." And you've got that wee lad, Dane Murray, now playing. You started him in pre-season. I swear to God, that's what I think the conversations are that are going on.
Man, unless Murray's going out on loan, so Welsh is away apparently, or close to being away. So unless we're going to put Murray out for 20 or 40 games on loan to someone, and then this boy's number 4. But I don't see Man City. I think there was a lot of interest in him, so I don't see Man City sending him up and saying, put him as your 4th choice centre half. Yeah, it doesn't really.
And the thing is, Man City were only entertaining loans; they weren't selling them.
Yeah.
Well, that's my point. There's no sell-on clause either.
Aye.
You can't buy him. You can't. So he could be a hero for us all year, and then next year he's away to fucking.
See the false economics, Marty. Like the Engels money, I'm not worrying about because I think he'll be a class act, right? The Ida money, right, we definitely overpaid there, right? Austin Trusty is not been a massive success. And see, to be fair, he's looked pretty good in pre-season and he's just had a baby and stuff like that. So maybe he'll settle down and maybe he will be the player that we hoped he was going to be. So who knows? But at the end of the day, that's a fair chunk of money, right? So out of all that, you're talking, 25 million between the 3 of them, 25, 26, 27 million. Right, so it's a lot of money for Celtic to lay out. But we fucking get that in. We get that and change with 2 players that we sell out the door. And then you look at the money you were getting for Bernardo and folk like that. The money we get in, like players that were fucking, they were nothing to us. You wouldn't have cared if you never seen them again if they just had loan and let their contract run out. But actually, and that's where the board must be commended, right? They've got his money in for every fucking angle, as you say, the Frimpong money and whatever. So it's not as if we've took a loss in these players. When you look at it net compared to what you've got in, compared to what you've put out, we're fucking up a fortune. And every deal you sign is not going to be a cast iron success. But by God, we fucking won more than we've lost with certain players. I mean, you get back to the Moussa Dembele, 800 grand. What we paid out for players, fucking unbelievable. Tierney, fucking nothing to 25 million. What do you know? Something in the back of my mind as well. See, because they've got Tierney in a 5-year deal, he'll be getting like 30 to, I don't know, 30 to 40 grand a week. But I would say probably McGregor's still going to be the highest paid player in the club or whatever. But Tierney will not be a kick in the arse after. They'll be sweating over. Do you know what I mean? They'll be sweating saying this is some fucking outlay we've put in him. Do you know what I mean? You've got him for buck shee. That Arsenal, if he was willing to play ball, Arsenal would have got fucking 20 million for him or 15 million. But we've got him for buck shee, and they'll be panicking because he's on a 5-year deal and good money. But he wouldn't have been hard to deal with. Do you know what I mean?
No, fucking sure, no, but that's
He was just
but
desperate to get back.
you're setting Tierney aside because Tierney's the opposite of what we always talk about. You're not paying the Scottish premium for Kieran Tierney. You're actually paying what he's worth. He's a fucking absolute top class player. Like, look at that cross. Look at his crossing. You know what I mean? Over the last couple of weeks, you're just looking going.
The through ball the other night as well. You're just like, here we go.
You know what I mean? So
and by the way, he'll get his goals as well. You know, he's added that to his game.
No doubt. So that's Kearney's kind of he's the one that proves the rules. You know what I mean? Because you set him aside. We're usually paying the Scottish premium for halfway shade players to actually take a jump and come and play with us. Who are just decent, but you have to pay more to get them, sort of thing. So, you know.
Do you think, Jason, that sorry, Marty, do you think just like that they're kind of leaning into it, going like, well, we have Tierney, you're not entertained then, no? Are they kind of like, are you not entertained? You know what I mean?
No, but do you know what? Slightly on the flip side as well, you still got, it's not all, catastrophic with him. Negrin's a brilliant signing for us. Looks a brilliant player.
I think he is as well.
But the money we paid for him, the way there seems to be no competition for signing, which was bizarre, really.
I know.
For us to get in and get that, and we've signed loads of brilliant players in our recent times as well for good money that become really valuable players, but we just seem to make fucking such hard work of the overall process, really.
But and like we knew Hugo was away in January. Everybody knew by looking at him that Kuhn was going.
Correct.
Right. So that sort of work should have all been done. And as you say, maybe it has, and we just don't realise yet. Maybe some of these players are amazing. Maybe Yamada's the replacement for Hugo. Fucking maybe one of the other players is the replacement for Kuhn. Until they get on the pitch, we won't know. Rodgers is going to have 4 weeks to have a look. And as I say, if we're streets ahead in September, he's fucked. You know what I mean? But if Rangers are pushing us or we're close at the end of August, he will have or if we've lost a fucking Champions League qualifier, he will have reason to go back to the board and say, I fucking warned you, we need other players. Here's who I want. Get the money out.
I don't think there's a replacement there for Kuhn, Marty, because I did think Nygren be looking at some of his videos, but he definitely seems to be through the middle. I don't think we've got any wingers at all.
No, totally.
Well, fair enough. Do you know what I mean? So and he has said that himself. That was the point about Yang. I can't let him go because I haven't got anybody else.
Well, the worrying thing is Scott mentioned that fucking Tillio, we've got to let him go because we don't have a fucking other winger. He's fucking still hanging about.
Yeah, and Marty, maybe there's 3 players for £10 million each ready to go that Rodgers has picked out, and maybe DD saying I'm not willing to sanction them until he's signed a contract.
It could well be, we're saying, and here's how that you can kind of reflect on that, right? Because when Rodgers came in, Rodgers was telling the board, like Postecoglou just done a treble, and Rodgers was going, I don't give a fuck what he done. That squad's crap. I need my squad to be above what he has. So they'll be looking at Rodgers going, well, we can't afford for the guy that replaces you to come in and say the fucking same thing. If you go out and spend all the money on duds who didn't work, we need to keep this money because you've basically told us that you're not going to be here next year. We need to give the new guy coming in the ability to buy a squad for the next 5 years. So it's like a chess game, and it's like, or it's like playing poker. Who blinks first? Is it
Yeah.
going to be the board? Because I think the board think that they blinked first last year.
Do you know what's interesting, right? See, on holiday, I was going out for long walks every morning, right? So I listened to Axom and Celtic Way. Is that Hamish Celtic Way? Is that what he's on? I don't normally listen to any of those guys, but I can't remember which one. I think it was Axom was saying that obviously Engels, Trusty, and Eder have had all the stick about the price tags and what they've contributed last season. All three of them played 10 out of 10 Champions League games, which surprised me. Yeah. Now, obviously, some of them would have been subs appearances as well, but all three of them featured in that great run that we had last season.
Oh, interesting. But see the stick and twist thing, right? It's an interesting thing when you think about it, Marty, right? Because this is all just fucking conjecture here, and it could be absolutely bullshit, right? But maybe Rodgers has been open and honest with the board, right? And the board haven't got, because let's face it, they didn't put any shackles on Ange. Because Ange had them eyes touching the transfer market, and I reckon Ange could have asked for anything, they would have gave him it.
I don't agree with that, but we'll come back to that. But carry on.
Right. Okay. Well, I think Ange had proved himself very quickly at Celtic, and he was obviously a fan's favourite. And obviously in Europe, we hadn't really proven in Europe. But I reckon Ange would have had the board. Like, they would have. And saying that, I might be contradicting myself here, but Ange was obviously happy with the way things were going and stuff like that. But he'd obviously made his mark. But obviously they had no inkling that he was going to jump ship. Hence, he was still getting support for them. So maybe Rodgers has been open and honest with the board. And that's where it's maybe fallen down. That if he'd been a bit more sleek with them. And maybe they've called him out and says, look, you're coming to the end of the year. We want commitment here. We want a 1 year rolling contract or whatever. Maybe he's not signed it. Hence why I don't know.
But maybe Rodgers has just said, look, I'm committed for 3 years. None of us fucking
know, Jason.
Yeah.
None of us know.
We're
all spitball.
What were you going to come back to, Liam? I was interested.
Just, and I could be wrong here completely, but just you think about the signings that Ange made. It seemed to go. Obviously, started off amazingly well with Kyogo, Jota, and Carter Vickers, and then Hatate and Maeda come in January. I'm trying to think of who else he signed that was Alistair Johnson, I think, come in to replace Juranovic. But who else did he sign that was good as we were going towards the end of his spell there? And
it was Bernardo's and stuff like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and obviously Rodgers' first summer transfer window, you've got to think that at least half of them players were either Ange kind of scouting or approved by Ange, or something along those lines.
Well, that's what we thought.
Kwan and whatever.
And with your Navrocki and everything.
Yeah, so you just wonder whether Ange was kind of feeling confident of getting that back in. Maybe that contributed towards him not wanting to stay. I mean, he's never going to turn down Tottenham anyway. But
I think it was just a Tottenham thing. I think Ange would have been happy to stay, but then it obviously got the approach for a club like that, and he was off, and the rest is history. But I think he had the kind of confidence that. Why the fuck has Rodgers not got the confidence of the board? It must be what Marty says. Like, the board have looked for confirmation that he's willing to see it out longer than the 3 year, and maybe he's no committed.
No, but also too, Jason, our board look at football players as assets to be sold. Right? So they're looking at fucking Ada, and they're looking at Engels, and they're looking at Trusty, and they're thinking, we're going to lose money on these three. That's the way these fucking fools think. They don't, you know what I mean? They don't think, oh my God, what a brilliant Champions League campaign we had last year, let's do that again. They're looking at noughts and crosses from last year going, this doesn't fit our model. We'll never get 6 million back for Trusty. We'll never get fucking 9 million back for Ida. That's how they fucking think.
But surely, Mark, there's got to be groups. There's got to be tranches of signings that you make. Do you know what I mean? There's got to be speculative ones, which we call prospects or whatever, which are low cost.
No, Liam. The word you're looking for is projects.
Projects. It's projects.
That's the word you're looking for.
Tier, where we've invested where we've invested 4, 5, 6 million, we've done all right in the main in the last few years on those sort of players like Jota and Carter Vickers, Kyogo, a few others. But, we talked about this last time in depth. It's mad that Celtic can't just bring in 1 or 2 players, older players that go, they've been around, what they've got.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I've said it so.
Just fucking right up a couple of million that we've made on all these other transfers we've done well in.
There must be an Aaron Moy out there.
Exactly.
There must be players like that. There must be players that's coming to the end of their tether with a top class team that you give them the opportunity to come and play in Champions League football, win a league and play in front of 60,000 maniacs every week. Surely there's a couple of players out there that can add to this squad that you write the money off and you say, look, you're signing them, you maybe get them in a free, you maybe get them for $1 million a cup. I don't know. Signing on fee and pay them 30, 40 grand a week.
Who did Ashley Young stay for recently? Ashley Young. Who did he stay for recently? He stayed for somebody. Low league.
You come in there bawling and shouting. Will you tell us?
Who? I didn't even hear who you said.
Ashley Young.
Who did he
He's
stay
about
for?
He's about 40, man. Come on. Right.
Well, you said an old fucking player, like an experienced player.
I'm thinking what I always pronounce this wrong, Jason, the boy from Athletic, Minuane. Yeah,
he's playing for Ipswich now.
Well, he was always going to go to Argentina. That's where he was wanting to go. So
he would have been tremendous for us, man.
I said that last year. That
tremendous, man.
Aye, somebody like that. And if you threw the kitchen sink, but I think he wanted to go to Argentina. It was just a thing,
Which is fair enough. But that's the profile of player I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Coming near the end of his career, he could have played in 4 or 5 positions for us.
I misunderstood that.
But
I was reaching for Ashley Young.
Aye, but there's depth. Are you talking about him that was with Everton?
Aye.
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Fucking, you get back to sleep.
You said an experienced player. That's his first game.
Aye, fucking experience is going to add something to the team. Fucking hell.
So pull that internet wire out again.
Aye. Fucking hell. But that's I think where we're letting ourselves down, because see experience, and surely see somebody like Kieran Tierney, right? He must know 20 players.
Yeah,
that he's come up across and he's met over his course of the last few years that he could say to Brendan Rodgers, why don't you get him in? Why don't you get him in? Give him a phone. He's been everywhere.
Aye. But Jason, I said this at the start of that first summer transfer window, right? I said Rodgers must know hundreds of players. Either young players that are not going to make it at these clubs or play. He must know the English market back to front, surely.
I know. And you're talking about guys like Jamie Vardy and stuff like that. Somebody like him would have go for a year.
I know he's a kind of front, but fucking he's a player.
Aye, I mean, there's guys there that one season you get them up front, fucking bang the goals in. And but as I say, you get into that Champions League, you want guys with a Champions League pedigree, but they're coming to the end of their tether, but they've still got something to offer. And what they can bring to a team, do you know what I mean? If you get a presence in that fucking dressing room, and obviously McGregor, Tierney, etc., they'll have a massive presence, right, for the players. But see if you bring in somebody that's an accomplished player and you write off 3-4 million for a season. But I don't think the Celtic board's got that in their DNA.
Just thinking, we haven't mentioned Ross Doohan, have we?
But Ross Doohan's the fucking stooge. He's only there to replace Bain as the scalp catcher on the bench.
And he classifies as homegrown, so that's a no-brainer, Joe, right? That's a no-brainer, no impact signing.
No, exactly.
To be fair, there's no issue there.
You'll never see Ross Doohan again unless there's an injury to either Schmeichel or Sinisalo. It's the only time you'll see him. And in all likelihood, if that happened, we would actually probably go out and get another keeper. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking nuts. But anyway, it's easy to deal with that one. I'm going to have to go shortly because of a wee man here who needs put to bed. He has a summer scheme in the morning. But what I would like to do before I go would be to pay tribute to the Holy Goalie, the John Fallon, who passed away since we were last on air. Lisbon Land, the 12th Land, and a darling of the Celtic support, always to be found in amongst the ordinary Joes.
Yeah.
Shooting the odds, arguing the toss, having fun, you know, giving his own opinions in his own way. And John will definitely be missed by much of the support. Like, there's very few Celtic players in history, I think, would have had the same relationship with fans as John Fallon. I mean, he was everywhere you went. Absolutely loved Ireland, loved his connections to Ireland. Um, John, John's family, the Fallons and my family, are actually from the same place, a tiny wee place called Giva in um, County Sligo. And for anybody who followed John on Facebook, you'll know that his name on Facebook was actually Sligo Tim. So John was always fiercely proud of his roots in the Emerald Ale. And I'll miss him. I'll miss his crack and his interest and his um, good
He's
humour,
a,
and sometimes his bad
he's a
humour.
muse.
his, his bad humour was as legendary as his fucking good humour. But what a great man, and a terrible loss for lots of people who knew him so well, so friendly with him, and travelled to the games with him. So his beloved wife Essie predeceased him by a few years ago, so he'll be up with her, fucking barking the ears off her in heaven, the two of them. And again, it's a sign of all our immortalities when the Lisbon lands, like with John Clark and stuff recently too, where our heroes are starting to leave us. So we bid them farewell, fare thee well, and college say. So anyway, I just wanted to have a few words about the main man before I hit the pit.
Aye, no, absolutely.
That's
And
it.
totally echo that. And my thoughts go out to as well his great friend Tommy Stevenson. So I don't know
Yep,
if you know
absolutely.
Tommy. Aye, you know Tommy. Everybody knows
I
Tommy.
do. I know Tommy.
Tommy never misses a Celtic game. I don't think he ever misses a Celtic B game as well. You know, when it just the guy lives and breathes Celtic, and he would go and Tommy lives down the borders, and he would take John. He would go with John to every game, every single game. And do you know what? There's very few. Tommy Callahan is very. There's very few ex-Celtic players that actually follow Celtic home and away, and I could count them on my one hand. And he was one. Never
Mm-hmm.
missed a game. Never missed a game. Lived and breathed Celtic, and obviously played for them, and played in the greatest ever team. You know, so regardless of what you thought of John, because he'd a lot of probably guys that didn't like him as well, because he was a
Mm-hmm.
carnacious character, but his heart was in the right place, and he just loved Glasgow Celtic, and he was there, and he was always there. And
Absolutely.
every single game, you seen him everywhere, and it's very rare, believe it or not, Marty. See,
No, I do 100%. I
see,
mean,
see.
going to the games, I see maybe George McCluskey, I see Tom Boyd. You know, I'd be hard pushed after that. You know, the name players that go to matches regularly. So
Aye, aye.
John was without. That's my point. I mean, there's far more Celtic fans would have had an interaction with John Fallon than maybe any other Celtic player. Because you would have seen him about, and as you say, like he'd argued with fucking, he'd argue with his own
Oh,
shadow. Volcanic at times, and at times he had a lot to be angry about. John wasn't well fucking treated at Celtic. In fact, he was
oh,
treated despicably sometimes. So. But I mean, the first time I met him, he was just doing the tour guide about 20 odd years ago when he was a tour guide at Celtic Park. And I remember my sister-in-law, who's not into football, you know what I mean? She's a Celtic fan, obviously, but she wouldn't know the ins and outs like the way she wouldn't talk the way we talk. And she came out of the fucking tour with a lifelong love of John Fallon. She says he fucking hated everybody. He hated the refs. He hated the press. He hated the old board. He just ranted and raved his way around Celtic Park that day. It was complete fucking entertainment, like from start to finish. He was just brilliant, and he made a very poignant point. Like he said, "Look, I'm a Lisbon lamb. You know, most people don't really know me. I didn't play in the first team, so I'm not in this, the Simpson fucking Clark Gamble fucking, the list that they say. He says, but I'm as proud as anybody to be here. And he says, he was talking just about, he was showing us around the players' lounges and the deer seats and stuff. And he was in the main stand, and he says, genuinely honest, he wasn't making a point. He wasn't being pointed about it, but he said, I don't like this view. He says, I don't like sitting in this stand. He says, I like sitting in the Jackstein stand up nice and high where I can watch the tactical battle unfold. He says, it's harder to do from this vantage point, and these are the most expensive seats in the house. That's stuck in my head for years. I was going, that's a really fair point. John was making his decisions based on, as a football fan, he wanted to see how the teams were setting up and challenging each other. That's easier to do from above the goal than it is as like a view nearly where you're level with a pitch on the sideline. So I always thought that was a lovely attitude towards football for somebody who could have been working in in one of the corporate boxes or something like that doing meet and greets.
Jason, did you not tell a story like that from one of the Lions before as well? You were sat next to one of them watching a game?
That was Bobby Lennox.
Yeah.
No, I was in a box one day, and I'll tell you the game it was. I've mentioned it on the pod loads of times. We were playing Hibs, and we beat them 5-0 at Celtic Park, and a guy was into selling insurance for here, and he invited our John in and another, so I was the other. And then John couldn't go, so it was me and Joe ended up. He'd seen his face was tripping. Fucking John's like, you're like, all right, Jim.
That was going to cost me a fucking.
Get the swallow up. So we're sitting there, and it's one of the ones in the main stand with the glass in front of you, and I'm having a laugh. Next thing, chap my door. I went to open the door. Bobby Lennox standing there. Do you mind if I come in and watch the game with these boys? I'm like, fucking near the collapse, man. I'm fucking ready to I'm swearing about ready to fucking faint. And he's came, sat right next to me, sitting watching the game. And I'm feared to fucking say anything. I'm like, whatever, right? And I always remember Viduka was playing this. And I was like to him, I think he maybe scored one or two that day. I can't remember. But I was like to him, Big Viduka, some player, isn't he? He's like, fucking some player. He says, when they get a game with our fucking reserve team, fucking big lazy bastard, look at him. And he started pointing stuff out. He says, he should be pulling fucking defenders there. Oh, Viduka was there at the halfway line when the ball was in our box, was scratching his balls. And he's like, he's a fucking lazy bastard. Fucking. And I was like, what an insight it was to the mindset of somebody that was one of the greatest ever Celtics, scoring goals for fun. Just sitting there, and I hated Viduka after that, just because I was always like, he's a fucking lazy bastard. What are you on about? Believe me.
I have the inside track.
What a day, man. What a day. Brilliant. Didn't wash my hand for ages after he shook it, just brilliant. And you just sat and watched the game with and just fucking legend,
I only ever met John Fallon once, and it was at obviously a Kano dinner dance at Celtic Park, and it might have been the week or around the kind of time that he'd been given his medal back, and he had it with him. And lovely guy, lovely. It was great talk to him.
There was a cracking line on the huddle board. Somebody says that again. It was at a dinner somewhere, and an ex player was sitting at each of the tables at the dinner, and all the people were seated, and then the players came in, and you got your lion or whoever it was, or whatever the ex-player was, they came to your table, and the guy says, John just walked up, man, look, I fucking know you all wanted birdie, but just let's make the most of it. He just totally broke the ice, and they all had the best of crack in the evening time. Like, it was one to remember, so, but that was John, it was just him. He was up front and in your face, and all the rest of it, and I'll miss him, like I really will, and I miss seeing him knocking about and all the rest of it. And I was really delighted that he came home to Ireland there for a week, not even a month ago. It was only there at the start of July. That he was able to get round and see everybody. And unfortunately, I was on my holidays, and I had a terrible feeling in the pit of my stomach that I was going to really regret not being in the country when he was here, and
Yeah, I know.
so it's proved. It's so sad.
And
But anyway,
big,
listen, fucking
big
God bless
Marty
him.
Gilmore, big Marty Gilmore was a great friend of his as well.
Totally, absolutely. All of them is Jimmy
Aye,
Dara. Him and Sherry, Jimmy Dara were very, very close, and he had a real affinity with the Irish fans. He loved us
oh,
because
totally.
he felt like he was one of us.
Oh, he was
And
a
his
total, he was a
and
total
his
rebel
links.
to the core.
Yeah, and like he used to call me his cousin. And as I say, I put a post up on Facebook, and like we would have shared family history and heritage stuff. And as I say, a branch of my family are Fallon, so we were related. And like if you're fucking half drunk, Flynn and Fallon doesn't sound that much different. If you have a fucking load of whiskey in you, like so. The links down there was with it being such a small place, it was impossible for us not to be related. And as I say, it's obviously a distant relation now, but I would have. There was a John Fallon who was the head of the IRA and Giva during the 1920s when they were fighting the Black and Tans, he'd 66 men under him and stuff. And John was very proud of that. He was so proud. And there was another Michael Fallon who was a relative of ours who's still one of the only, there's only been 12 Irish born players in the NFL in America. And he's one of them. My great cousin or whatever the fucking connection is one of them. You know what I mean? Played in the 1920s as well. So he loved that. He loved all those wee tidbits of information that you would feed him. He just loved it. He was so interested and wanted to learn more. And you could just picture him sitting. They used to have that fucking breakfast club. Him and John McLaughlin and Jamie Foxx and all the Celtic authors all used to go
Aye,
for the breakfast once a week or
Pat
once a
Woods.
month, whatever it was. And Pat Woods
Yep.
and all those guys, just brilliant, real Celtic heads like Tommy Stevenson would have been there too.
Oh,
And
totally.
you could just picture John going in and saying, look, you think you're great, but my relative was playing the NFL, and all that. He would have just fucking, just rubbing it up to me. But I loved all that banter and whatever else. So look, a big loss to us, like, and we should treasure these guys. There's not many of them left. There's only a handful of them left. They're all starting to leave the stage. And when you think how long Jack Steen's dead, do you know what I mean?
I know.
We've been very lucky that we've had these men in our all our histories for so long, and our kids have got to meet them and get their photographs taken and stuff like that. They've been a total blessing, So God bless them all.
Yep. Well
Yeah,
said, Marty.
I said Marty, lovely.
Lynch, if you jump off, Marty.
Yeah, I have to go and put the wee man down. He has a summer scheme in the morning, so I'll bid you adieu. Okie dokes.
All right, mate. God bless. See you
Thanks,
Right,
later.
Marty.
right, champs. Slam.
Cheers, Marty.
I'll,
Hey,
I'll,
Marty.
give, I'll give you a wee update on the statue. So obviously
Oh,
the we were talking about the lines, etc. So we've got a dance, and then I think there's one table left. I think, but it might be away. I'm not entirely sure if anybody wants to contact me. I'm not entirely. I need to check. But so we've got a dinner dance the 15th of August. Obviously, I was telling you the story about Hearts and meant to be doing it. Blah blah. Enough of that. But anyway, statue update. With the meeting last week, and Kenny Duffy for the council was there, so everything's basically signed, sealed, delivered now. They've put a survey out for locals to say what they want, or anybody to say what they want. So I shared it about, and people filled it in, etc. And that's no any. It's no basically going to be a vote to whether the statues. Everything's signed, sealed, delivered, and the statue's now getting sculpted, and we've picked the design. But saying we've picked the design as a committee, but Mary Gemmell basically picked the design, and it's an absolute beauty. And it's going to be kind of different. I won't tell anybody what the design's like or anything. It's going to be a wee bit different for the other statues that are there. And all the unveiling, you'll see what the difference is. But it's going to be an absolute belter. This guy, the guy who's sculpting it, he sculpted the Beatles in Central Park in New York and everything.
wow.
He's the top of the tree. The guy is unbelievable. And so it's all systems go. And by the end of, I don't know if it's actually the day that Martin was in the meeting, but by next week or the week after, we should have maybe a definitive date when the statue is going to be up. But it's going to be up this year. As I say, it's like 8 to 12 week window when he starts sculpting it, and he started a couple of weeks ago. So so everything's good. And by the way, see the blood, sweat, and tears over it through. See the hoops you need to jump through, and everything. It's unbelievable. And always mind Wally Mackey, one of the guys in the committee, the Billy McNeil statue for Bell's Hill. You were there that day, weren't you, Liam?
Yeah. Me and you were VIP, remember?
Aye, exactly. And mind Wally came out, because you were actually standing there when he came out and spoke to us after it. And he says, if I could give you one bit of advice, this was long before the Tommy Gemmell statue was even, I was involved in it or anything like that. He says, if I give you one bit of advice, he's never get involved in anything like this. Because obviously it'd been years down the line for them as well. And I totally understand what he would say, but I would kind of say always get involved in something like this, because it is worthwhile. And so we're making amazing strides. And obviously once the statue goes up, it doesn't finish there, because it's a Tommy Gemmell community project, and we're going to be hopefully putting it from strength to strength to help the local community as well after it. But it's things are going good.
Fantastic, man. It's always good to get shit like progressed and get it to the point where you go like, oh, because it's probably like swimming to the moon. At the start, you think you're never going to get here. Right?
Who's ever swum to the moon before, Joe?
That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point, Jason.
So they never got there.
Exactly.
So, Jason, do you need to promote anything? You said the dinner dance got one table. What about the golf? Is the golf a sellout, or are you still trying to?
The golf was oversubscribed, mate.
Right, perfect. So I don't need any shout outs for any of that.
It's the golf was the only thing was it was the same day as the Keno golf.
I know it's unfortunate, but
it was the only day we could get it. And the thing is, the people that were coming to ours wouldn't be probably going to the Keno one anyway. You know, most of the local guys. But it's been a long journey, and hopefully it's kind of coming to the end. But we've got a big night in DL Park on the 15th. It'll be a brilliant night, and we've got that in the golf day, and will definitely be over our target. We've got the money for the statue now, but we need to pay VAT on it, etc. So we're kind of a couple of quid short at the minute, I think, of the overall target. But with 2 nights, we'll be well above the target. And so that's it. And then we'll see Tommy going up. And so it's going to be. And I think I told you before. It's not a secret now, but I told you before. But Mary Gemmell has agreed that Tommy's ashes are going to be placed in the statue.
Oh, amazing! Amazing.
Aye. It's going to be amazing.
That's really fitting, that, isn't it? It's really good.
Oh, aye. And Mary's been amazing. She's been outstanding. The work she's put in as well, unbelievable. Some of the stories as well. Honest to God, I could be here all night telling you stories she's told us. Do you know Tommy gave her all his old Celtic strips and all that, right? He just left them. He did a day in with them. And ones that he swapped and that, she washed them on, shrunk them at kid sizes. I'm telling you, fucking about 50 grand there, 60 grand if you're selling them. Honest to God. Aye. And by the way, top players that he swapped strips with, Eusebios and stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, there must have been all sorts that he swapped strips with.
Imagine seeing them now going like, Tommy Clip against this guy's tiny.
Well, listen, two things we'll do, Jason. We'll get Marty. Is it Marty that came on last time from the committee?
Aye, Big Marty.
Yeah. Well, we'll get Martin or a couple of others or whatever. So just before it all gets done and unveiled or whatever, we'll maybe just do a HomeBhoys extra or something or on one of the shows and get the guys on and talk through the whole journey and the experience and whatever and what it's been like for you guys getting to where you got to. That'd be good.
Without a doubt. There's been a million things that's happened between, and like there's times that you panic, you know, and like, because you're getting all this money in and you're getting everything in, but there's still red tape to get through this and that. And fair play to the bold Scott, because we were toiling a bit because we had see, we're going to get a local council grant.
Yeah.
So part of the thing with that was involving the local community. So we went to Motherwell College and get some of the students to draft basically the drawings, the CAD drawings, etc.,
Right.
for the
Good.
surrounding areas, right?
Yeah.
But they were like, it'll be another 6 weeks because it's the holiday period. No, we're in a tight schedule here. So we've got a guy for the council that stepped in. He's like a bona fide project manager or whatever. So he's kind of stepped in and that's moved that right on as well. But there's been loads of like hurdles. See like getting charity status and then getting it so that you can get gift aid, etc. See jumping through hoops and everything between, oh mate. And obviously then the accountant thing that I contacted you about as well, but that's kind of getting resolved now as well.
Right,
so
good.
Aye, there's just loads of stuff. Because at the end of the day, we're just 6, 7, 8 civilians, you know, it's just took this on and just, you know, we don't have the expertise in doing stuff like this because none of us have ever done anything like this before.
Is it the same as over here, where like if you have a community kind of group like that, you have to have like a constitution and a chairman and a treasurer and a secretary and that kind of stuff? Yeah,
so we've got all that now, Joe, because what we've got to do now as well, we need to communicate via email, so there's an audit trail, and every one of our meetings are minuted, etc. So we have to do everything official now. See, before we'd just be texting each other, I do this, do that. When we get merchandise, my big mate Craig, the boy CS Terrace t-shirts, he's been amazing. He's done the t-shirts for us. We need to get invoices for him every time he does like a batch of t-shirts for us. Like things like that, we need invoices for everything. So everything's got to be above board. You know, there can't just be, that's your mate, just sort that out. Everything has got to be minuted. Everything's got to be documented. Every receipt, everything has got, because at the end of the day, we're running a community project, so everything has to be above board, you know. So, as I say, everything's done by a committee decision. We don't do anything without full committee agreement, but it's time consuming, and there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and you need to have everything regimented. You know, you can't just be doing things at a whim.
Yeah, no, definitely do a podcast on it, or just on one of the shows. I'm really, you mentioned Scott. I really hope the guys do something for Bobby Murdoch as well.
Exactly.
I'd love to be involved in some way with that too. So just be great to hear all the kind of background to it all.
And the thing is as well, see, once we've done this, we've basically got a blueprint that we can hand over to the next people that are going to be doing it. You know, what you need to go through, who you need to involve, and a big shout out to Kenny Duffy as well for the local council. He's been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So it's it's there's a load of stuff that you would not even dream of that you need to go through. You know, so but we're getting there, and it'll be a very proud moment when Tommy gets hoisted up in Craignuke.
Brilliant. That'd be amazing, mate. Looking forward to it. And Joe, we should probably get Joe or Kev or someone on from the Kano as well, just the next few weeks, and just get an update on how those guys are doing. See if they need any support from us as well.
100%, 100%, definitely. I kind of had that. I was talking to Neil recently as well.
Yeah, Neil. Yeah.
We are at 2 hours. I think we've covered everything, have we? Any predictions for the weekend? I suppose it's kind of see how it goes, isn't it? It's kind of like.
I got one other quick non-Celtic feel-good story here as well. So you remember Joey Barton was calling Jeremy Vine a paedophile and everything, and just abusing him online. And Jeremy Vine contacted him and said, "If you give me 10 grand compensation and delete your tweets, then we'll leave it at that," which Joey Barton refused to do. So he's just had his final court case go against him, and he's cost him over £500,000 in costs and compensation to Jeremy Vine. So that's just
You're joking.
No.
£500,000. So see for the uneducated here, and probably used to are non-educated as well, what actually happens here? Because obviously Joey Barton's maybe £500,000 in the bank.
If he has assets worth it, they seize those, don't they?
Oh, so the chat is off the Huddle board, right? So you'll all see this, but the chat is he either has to sell his house, or he's got to pay Vine rent to stay in his own house, which is even funnier, really. I don't know how true that is or not, but either way.
Jeremy Vance saying he has actually paid it.
Well, he just said here, Jeremy Vine's put some tweets or whatever he's on tonight. Thank you for the messages, blah, blah, blah. It's all concluded. I'm satisfied with the result. Mr. Barton has now paid out more than £500,000 in my case alone. I may return to the subject in due course, but for now it's a relief just to be vindicated and have the case settled so decisively. Oh, I should add, initially I told Mr. Barton he'd be paid 10 grand total and deleted the tweets. I'd forget the whole thing. It was him, not me, who decided to take the long road. Tremendous, really, isn't it?
What a fucking absolute banger.
Scott Brown will have to take him off his mantelpiece and hand him over to Jeremy Vine, won't he, to go for a while.
But here's the thing, right? That's when you realise it's like lottery winners winning the lottery and thinking they're successful businessmen, right? And just getting, rather than just keeping the money in the bank away, fucking tons of holidays and enjoy the rest of your life, right? And sort your kids out, right? Just don't have any more phone numbers on your phone and just fucking have a good life. He is an ex-football player that's fucking not got a very good fucking education, thinks he's a fucking guru, shouts his mouth off at everything, and then thinks there's no recourse, and then he's obviously found out, oh dear.
But see, Jason, see everything about Joe Barton, his whole history, his family, everything that's gone on, everything's just been scumbag from start to finish with him.
Like zero redeeming features, like.
Oh, you've met my mate Ian McDonald, haven't you?
I was just about to tell that. That's exactly what I was just about to say.
Who's this dude?
You tell it better than me, though.
Have you met Ian?
Yeah.
I may have met him.
Evertonian, like guy with grey hair.
Oh, I think so. Yes.
Right. Ticket guy. If you were good, you went to Goodison, and he would have been the guy that got you tickets, probably.
Yes. He would have been with Tony, Big Anthony.
No, so it wasn't Ian then, so the other ones, right? But anyway, Ian's good mate of mine, right? So he'd follow Everton everywhere, and he was over at a pre-season tournament we were playing in Thailand, and Man City were playing. And they were in a hotel at night, and the Man City team was there, and the Everton team wasn't there. So there's a wee Evertonian, I've told this story loads of times, the wee Evertonian, one of the boys had their son with him, and he went up and he was like playing about with Joey Barton, and the wee guy had a boot at Joey Barton, like the young kid, and Barton's went round and like fucking swiped at him, and Richard Dunn seen it, and Richard Dunn cracked up and fucking went for Joey Barton, and the two of them, because the two of them get sent home. So Richard Dunn's had a go with Joey Barton, and Richard Dunn's that rage, and he doesn't want to get into a mad fight, and he's kicked the wall, and he's broke his leg or his fucking foot or something like that. So he was out of commission, and Joey Barton's been the fucking big lad and whatever, and Ian's just walked up and knocked him out with one punch.
Oh, really?
Aye, so the two of them get sent home for Man City's pre-season tour. So my mate knocked him out with one punch, says he was a fucking dickhead. Fucking slapped a wee laddie. Fucking, obviously he's bevied. And
fucking dirtbag, I mean, clearly a fucking dirtbag. A fucking dirtbag.
Yeah,
there's loads of them out there.
And now he's on this, whatever, YouTube channels and whatever. And
him and Conor McGregor should get a podcast together. Oh. Fucking two cunts in a cave.
Hosted by James English.
Hosted by James English.
But see the thing that he's come out with women's football and all that, right? And while you laugh at it, right, and I watch it and I'm like, this is shit, right? But it's kind of, see when you strip it back, it's a new sport. Women didn't play football before. So they're getting better, but they're not that good. But when you compare them with the men's game, it's shit, right? And that's just my honest opinion if you're watching a game of football for quality football. But it's, you need to take a step back and say it's a kind of new sport. Because
at the end of the day as well, you need to be conscious of going like, it may just not be for me.
But Joe, they just won the Euros, right? Whatever you think about the sport, Jason, you're right in what you're saying, right? I watched the penalty shootout of the semis and the final. It was atrocious, but they just won the Euros, right? They've just won the second biggest prize that they can win within that sport. And some no-mark cunt like that's fucking calling them out. Do you know what I mean? Just for attention off people.
I know.
But again, Joey Barton's the kind of cunt that probably stands at the side of kids' football games and goes, "This is shit. These cunts are shit. This is shit," because he's such a fucking absolute insecure wankhead.
He's a drain in society. You know, nothing's ever great. You ever hear them saying something's great? You know,
but part of me about responding to these people online and talking about them online is, I think that's their grift. That's the grift.
Aye, just drains in society. They just exude negativity at every turn. But back to the point, right? Women's football isn't for everybody, right? But the thing is, it is a new sport. Women didn't play football until very recently. There were very few women, you know, and still the amount of women that play football compared to men is minuscule. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. If you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't, right? But don't. The English women's team are now the best team in Europe.
Yeah,
it's the first time an English football team has ever won a trophy outside of England, ever.
It's back-to-back as well, back-to-back Euros they've won.
Aye, and I was driving back for the walk with the Maniac yesterday, me and Ellie, and know the big billboards that flash up new things. It says, "Congratulations to the Lionesses." I'm like, who the fuck put that there? Fucking wish it. Fucking congratulations to the Lionesses. When I stop the motor and launch a can at it.
It's getting tough on it, man.
No, you're right though. It's a big, massive achievement, and you've seen the kind of parade and reception they have. You go like, this means a lot of shit to a lot of people.
And by the way, I could not see when I was watching it. I was trying to think which. I don't pay attention to it, right? I'm not really interested in women's football, to be honest with you, right? Cards on the table. But when it came on, I was watching, I can't remember what game, and I flicked it on, it was on, and I'm like, I was trying to look, is that Ellen Road or whatever? Because it was loads of English fans everywhere. And Linda said to me, she says, no, that's in, she knew somebody that was at it, and she says, it's in Switzerland. And I'm like, what? And the amount of them that must have travelled earlier for that. You know, there's thousands of them.
See the English game, like see Man United, Man City, Chelsea, they get 50, 60, 80,000 for the games down there, for some of the big games down there.
Unbelievable.
If you watch that Welcome to Wrexham, they focus a lot on the women's team in that show, and I think it was their final game of the season when they won the league was actually at the racecourse, a fucking full house,
Yeah, it's interesting.
Up at Birds. That's what we're saying. Up at Birds. And fuck Joey Barton. Joey Barton could fucking go and eat a bag of shit. Fuck him.
He's a bag of shit, mate. He's a bag. Just been done for battering his missus again, surprisingly.
What a fucking balloon. Fuck off, mate. Anyway, that's a good way to end it. Fuck Joey Barton, and God rest John Fallon and Up at Birds. And I can't wait to see the statue in Craigmead, because that sounds like it's been a journey and a half, Jason.
Joe, 5 minutes. We'll have a quick prediction for the weekend before we finish.
I was going to put a bet on. I was like, you know what? Bet £100. Fucking -2 goals. And you're only going to get about 70 quid profit. I was like, that's not even worth it. That means the odds of that shit. You know what I mean?
Let's try and predict the team and the result, right? But before we do that, I listened to Scott's one-on-one today, which was brilliant as always. But it sounds like St Mirren has created another team from the land of the Giants, ready for Sunday. So they're going to have 11 6-foot+ players again on the pitch.
Oh, is that what it is? Just big, fucking muscular, tall lads that can reach the ball in one stride.
Yeah.
So what's the? I've not listened yet. I've listened to them tomorrow. So what's the? I've not really paid much attention to St Mirren at all, and most other Scottish teams, to be honest with you. What's their in and outs? Is it
quite a lot of turnover? But I mean, like they had a I can't remember the name of a lot of the players, but they had a striker last year that was pretty good. They sold him for something like 160,000 or whatever, which is that's kind of a good profit for them to turn a player over. I think they sold him to.
Was that the right nippy boy?
The striker. I think he went to America or something, maybe at the start of the summer.
Right. I remember that. I remember when he went to America. I do remember.
Yeah.
It wasn't at the end of last season. It was kind of with a few games to go in last season.
Right. Okay. Right.
He went to America.
But Scott's pal does the St Mirren thing. I forget his name, but he's on all the time, and he always speaks really well about St Mirren, about football in general. But the way he's described it is all the players have signed are like big. They've signed a couple of Jamaican players, which could be quite interesting. Kind of some trickier players, and then mainly just big strapping boys. And remember the game at the end of the last game of the last season on Trophy Day? They're fucking massive, all of them. A bit like Livingston, and then when they're making subs, they're getting even bigger. The ones that were coming up. So I think could be a tough game unless we get an early goal. I think on Sunday.
So team-wise, what are you thinking?
Team-wise, so Schmeichel,
yeah, you're gonna have Tierney definitely.
Tierney left.
AJ,
trust your Scales.
I say Scales.
I would say Trusty.
I think Trusty's been better, but I think he'll start with Scales. But I think Trusty's been the better of the two over pre-season. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think Dave Murray might start on the right instead of Carter Vickers.
Ooh.
Do you know what? That's
purely because of fitness, not because
because Carter Vickers only played a half the other night, and he was like,
yeah.
I don't.
Well, in that case, I'd put Trusty in then instead of Scales.
I'll be honest with you. I think Carter Vickers will play. But
yeah, we'll see.
It's not a bad shout, but do you know what? I really hope Dane Murray gets a chance.
Yeah, you got to try him, haven't you? He's had a good pre-season and everything else. You've got to try him, and Joe, I think Ralston will start ahead of Johnson for the. Johnson's even further behind than Carter Vickers, so I think Ralston will start and then maybe play 60 minutes.
All right, interesting. Midfield: McGregor, Hattati, Engels.
I think Negrin will start ahead of Engels.
Well, Negrin's down here as a forward, so.
Nah, the other two are stick on. Hattati and McGregor stick on. It's either Engels or Negrin, but I think Negrin will start.
Negrin, Yang, Maeda. Who else?
No, Negrin's a midfielder, so Maeda will definitely start. So your three question marks is Negrin or Engels, Yang or Forrest. I think Forrest will start ahead of Yang. And then Ida or Yamada or Kenny.
Well, I don't think that's according to Ida's.
I think Ida will start, but it could be his last chance, I think, to start.
Last chance, the first game of the season.
Not last chance as in permanent. I just mean that I think if he doesn't do much, if Yamada comes on and does well, I think he might just start to sneak ahead of him.
Yeah. So I would, I don't know. In fact, I've just looked at a chat here. Strange Love the Doctor. He's kind of no too far away from what you were talking about. So he's put, I'll read it out. He's put Casper in goal, KT, Trusty, Murray. So you kind of went to that. And Ralston, you went to that. Midfield, he's put Callum, Mack, Rio, and Engels. Then he's put forwards, Maeda, Ida, and Nygren. No, that's not good.
See, Nygren's down as a forward on the Celtic website.
I bet he's a midfielder, Joe.
He's not played 1 minute wide for us just yet, so we're not going to put him in that for the first.
He's not played 1 minute wide. No, he hasn't. But see, when you watch his videos, to me, I thought he would have been a replacement for Kuhn, right? Because he's left-footed and he was coming in for the right, and nearly all his goals were left foot. But they were off in the middle of the ground. But he was coming in for the right. But the way we've played him, he's definitely been a midfielder. So I would actually agree with you. It's like, here's a thing, right? I'm going to go off on a tangent. What about Bernardo? Is he kind of fell off a cliff with us?
Well, I thought he looked decent the last game he played. He looked pretty tired, neat and tidy again. But I think if Negrin's... Right, this is the thing for me, right? If Negrin's going to play, you wonder whether Hattati's going to go, and whether it's going to be Engels, McGregor, and Negrin, right? And I hope not, because Hattati's. Although I said last season, I think it's time for him to move on. I think he's maybe too good for us to lose him. But I don't see Bernardo must be sixth choice midfielder for us just now.
Say that again, what you said there, because that didn't make sense to me about Hatai.
So Negrin is a central midfield player, not a winger, right?
Yeah.
So if he's going to start as I expect him to, then only one of Hatai or Engels can play, right? So maybe they brought Negrin in not to replace Engels, but to replace Hatai. Maybe Hatai's potentially going to move on.
I don't see him and Hatai as the same type of player. Hatati's more of a. He's not as much a. I think Negrin's a ball winner. Negrin's like.
No.
Negrin's as you said he's a Matt Riley type player. He's not a Hatai type player.
But I wouldn't have called Matt O'Reilly a ball winner or Negrin. They're kind of the number 10 for me, really.
Right. But they can put the foot in as well, and they can win balls. Cal McGregor's the ball winner. Right. Hatai, no so much. Hatati's the silky midfielder. He's the guy that makes things happen. He's the guy.
Yeah.
But Negrin to me is all over the park. He was at Matt Riley. He was like, I think he'll get us goals. He was like kind of all over the park, and he was like kind of, he was the maverick at the midfield when you were watching him, because he was out at the right, he was out at the left. Maybe he was just obviously trying to impress, but he'll settle down a bit. But I think, to me, it's McGregor, Hatai, and then it's Engels, Negrin, or Bernardo. And to me, I think Bernardo's by miles the third out the three of them.
Yeah, I think McCowan's ahead of Bernardo personally.
And you say to yourself, what's happened to him? Because he looked great. See just when they signed him and everything, he looked absolutely brilliant.
He looked good in the start of last season. He looked good, and when he played, but never got much time, which was bizarre. But then cup final, he was absolutely horrific, man.
I know.
He had a right stinker, but so we've got 6 really strong central midfielders just now. So, maybe one of them's for the off, maybe Bernardo's for the off, I don't know. Yeah. One of them, but I think Negrin will start on Sunday.
Because Luke McCowan is like, he's the unsung kind of midfielder, and he's like the guy we would never sell, because he'll turn into like a Tony Ralston type player that will be more than happy to pick up his wage, give 110% every time he's called upon. And by the way, he's bloody effective as well. Gets you goals. Yeah. Good player.
He'll outscore all of our current midfielders over a period of time. Negrin might get a few goals, but he's got a pretty good goal return already. McCowan for the time he's on the pitch.
Brilliant. But I think once Negrin finds his feet, I think he'll gives plenty of goals. Plenty. But we'll wait and see. Because Engels, I thought he would, obviously takes penalties, but I would have thought he would have gave us a load of goals. But he seems to be more of a defensive type midfield player than what I thought he was going to be.
I can't still work him out. I put in the chat, obviously, recently. I still can't work out. Someone said to me the other day, I was having this conversation with someone that when he's box to box, went, well, I look at Petrov box to box. Petrov looks light years ahead of where Engels is.
Aye.
I can't quite work out what he is.
I don't know if it's maybe the way the manager's telling him to play, but he's got all the tools. He's got everything there. He's got the ability to go in there. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a criticism of him. What I'm saying, I still don't see what he is at the minute.
I would agree with that.
I think a lot of us play outside the box and the shots he was taking last season. If he can get those, he's a very dangerous player. He doesn't penetrate like Petrov did, doesn't like running into the box late for crosses and stuff like that there. But when he plays outside the box, he can turn and get a shot off, and a really powerful shot. But a lot of time last season, he was fucking hitting the outside of the post. It was going just wide, straight at the keeper. It's one of those things. I think as he develops, he might become more of a fucking threat. But again, it's still to be seen what his actual complete package might be.
Yeah,
I think he'll be a big player for us this season. To be honest with you,
I hope so. Because the other thing I said as well was, I know Scott was saying different, which is fine, but I think we've got a real problem if McGregor doesn't play, who can play in that same role as McGregor does just now? I'm not sure any of them are naturals at it at all.
But I didn't think McGregor was a natural at it either when he started. You know, it's something you need to grow into.
I think the expectation might be that McKern might get to that point, but I don't know if anybody's feeling that.
I
don't at all, man.
But here's the thing, Liam. You take yourself back, right? See when Scott Brown was there, right? Who in their wildest dreams would have thought Callum McGregor would have stepped into that role?
Yeah, but the point I was trying to, no one, Jason, but the point I was trying to make in the chat was Brown played that role very specifically, as in deep lying in front of the defence, kind of just controlling, dictating the tempo. McGregor does it exactly the same, but O'Reilly played it for a period when McGregor was injured with the cheekbone thing and was brilliant. But I don't recall anyone else stepping in and kind of looking very effective in there. As Scott had said, we played well without McGregor last year. Maybe we did. I've just forgotten about it.
We did.
Right. I can't remember who played in that. Was it Engels maybe or somebody else?
We kind of didn't have Andy playing that kind of specific role.
But
they were kind of all mucking in. You know,
it was a hodgepodge, wasn't it? A hodgepodge.
Because Hattie does that role as well at times. You know, he doesn't like win the ball as much.
Yeah.
But he's good at with the play in front of him. He's good at dictating the play.
Yeah.
He's good at the wee short passes, etc. But McGregor does the wasting part. See, when he wastes it for the opposition, that's when Hattie doesn't do that.
So maybe it was more of a flat midfield three rather than one person so deep. McGregor does play 20 yards behind everybody else, so maybe that's what it was. But I think that's a challenge we need to sort out this year as well. We don't want him playing every game, every minute of every game this year.
We will know at 3:30 on Sunday.
15:15.
It's 15:15. What time does it get off? 15:30 or 15:15?
Yeah, it's an hour and 15 minutes. Show teams released before. There you go.
Right.
Predictions. Score predictions.
2-0. Celtic.
3-1. Celtic.
Prediction. I maybe I'll temper it. I'll maybe go about 3-1 Celtic.
Right, well, 2-goal wins either way. So
I'm hopefully going to be wildly wrong and we'll win 6-0.
Strange love. The doctor says 5-0. There you go.
Right, well, Jason, you've done your bit on the flags down the year, so have a look online for inflatable sharks just in case things go tits up. Get yourself on the pulse. Get ready.
Explain that to me. That's totally been out of my head.
So when we lost 10 in a row, or on the way to losing 10 in a row, and there was demonstrations up at the park and people there with inflatable sharks and throwing the barriers at the players and everything. So that's something we always get the piss taken out of us for. There's going to be bad news. So.
Inflatable sharks. We're going to need bigger sharks.
But it's
like, if we draw, fucking hell, the world will fall in.
It's a weird thing with Celtic, and it's like it's all just in my head because I don't follow Celtic social media. I don't follow like I don't listen to any other Celtic podcasts. I don't know what anybody else is saying, but it's the Brendan Rodgers thing for me is just a bit odd at the minute.
Yeah,
and I said to you at the end of last season, my big worry is the Brendan Rodgers thing this year. And it's like if he's in his last season, and it's kind of getting accentuated with him keep saying we need to strengthen. He said it so many times. And while he's saying that, there's players landing at the club left, right and centre. And he keeps saying we need to strengthen. I'm like, something's not right here.
I think he's saying quality, and I think he's saying we need quality more than just numbers. That's his point. But Jason, there's multiple people talking about demonstrations on Sunday.
Really?
Yeah. Again, it's a huddle board chat, but people are talking about putting a message to the board, demonstrations, blah blah blah. And you're like, come on.
4 weeks to go in the transfer window.
On the back of another double. Yeah.
That'll work out well. That'll work. That'll teach him.
Yeah. The Ibrox Globetrotters, but they're on the march now, so.
Apparently so. Right. That's us done. I'm way with
Well
bed.
done.
Right, folks.
Right, nice one. Enjoyed it. Take it easy.
Hail,
Folks,
God
hell yeah,
bless.
boys. Let's
Cheers,
take it easy.
guys. Bye.
Aye.